Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Look into the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 135. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, and leave a review. You can also check us out on Spotify as well as Google Play. Hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Dojo Talk Podcast Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can follow me on Twitter as well as Twitch at Serial Sensei. And of course, as always, I'm joined with my co-host, the Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just chilling. Trying to catch up while we record. I'm watching Aoki Lee in the background.
You get to see the moment that one championship has been salivating for their entire life since Christian Lee was there. But no, we'll get to that card. That card was awesome. There were actually a lot of good happenings this weekend. A lot of good fights. A lot of fisticuffs being thrown. We had Wilder Breazeale last night. Of course, we had Dos Anjos and Lee. As you mentioned, one championship had a card. What was the other guy who fought? Inoue fought.
Inoue fought Emmanuel Rodruguez, and Josh Taylor fought Ivan Baranchik for the WBSS bantamweight and was a junior welterweight tournament, and they're both now. So we now have the finalists for both of those tournaments. We also had Road FC 53, and I don't remember which number it was, but we also had a KSW card that was headlined by Michelle Materla and Scott Ashkin. So, yeah. And there was violence to be had there.
Yeah, so. And I forgot, and Glory 65, shout outs to them, because I'll be giving that a mention.
Yep.
Yeah, so from like Friday to, through the weekend, there was a lot of hands and feet being thrown. So if you didn't get to see everything, go back and watch. You missed out on some. There's a lot of good violent moments this weekend. Also, just a quick mention for me, I'm excited about today because I'm going to go finally get to see John Wick 3, and I've been really looking forward to this, and I'm ready to see how long Keanu Reeves can keep a kill streak going, because apparently that's just what he does in John Wick movies, and I'm all for it. So I'm in good spirits today, considering I only slept like 5 hours, but I'm feeling good. Weather's good. Hopefully it's not too hot outside. It looks pleasant, but I'm not ready for like that 80 and 90 degree weather. I don't think we're going to get... Oh, it's going to be 84 today. All right.
Yes. I mean, I'm being inside. I'm being in the library later today, so...
Yeah. I'll be out partial. I'll go see the movie, then I'll...
Oh, dude, it's going to be almost 90 tomorrow.
Oof. Yeah. Oh, actually, real quick, guys. Talking about dates and things like that. So I'll be turning 30 next week on Monday. Yeah, I don't know if I'm A-ing about it, but and I'll try to be optimistic. But no, I'll be turning 30 next month. Not next month, next week on Memorial Day. Only bring this up because I don't believe there are any fight cards next week. Or any major ones, I should say.
Let me check real quick, because there's a fight next week. I just can't remember which one it was.
There is a fight, I want to say, I don't know if it's on Friday or Saturday that week, but I don't think there's anything like...
There's no UFC, there's no Bellator.
Yeah, I think one has like their little, whatever their version of like the Contender Series is. I forgot what it's called. Like, they have one of those next week. But I don't think there's really a ton else going on. And I just bring this up because I was, could either use the week to take the week off, but I kind of did want to do a mailbag episode. Those are pretty fun. Something that we don't have to, watch footage for. We don't have to wake up early and rewatch fights. We can just get questions and come in and talk.
Right.
Because I took off that weekend, so I'll have nothing to do. I'm not gonna say nothing to do, but I wouldn't mind doing an episode of a mailbag episode. So I don't really like tagging people in posts, but if I do tag you in a post, that'll probably be what it's for. So I will try to collect some questions for a mailbag episode. So if you're listening to us, you can post questions on the Facebook page. If you're on Tumblr, send them to me on Tumblr. If you're on Twitter, wherever you see me at, just send me a question or send an anti-cooler question. Either of us will do, and we can do them on a mailbag episode. I was also thinking of maybe trying to get a guest in on that episode. I'm not sure. Maybe a week's notice might be too short. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But if possible, I would like to do a mailbag episode. So if you guys have any questions, MMA related, or even not MMA related, at this point, I don't care. Just send them in. And, if we get enough of them, we can try to make a mailbag episode out of it.
I remember what the card was. It was PFL's second card for this season.
Okay, so that's Thursday.
That is Thursday. It's
Okay.
featherweights and lightweights. And I forgot Jeremy Kennedy got cut from the UFC off of one loss.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have laughed. That's bad.
Hey, he's got a chance to win a meal now.
Yeah, I mean, can't hate on that.
Yeah, go be all you can be. That's good though. All right, so PFL will hold it down next week. But yeah, send questions for a mailbag episode, guys, if you have any questions. And real quick, before we give the listener shout outs, well, really in regards to that. So like last week's episode, I just kind of like dropped, and I didn't really like ever go back and look at it. I just dropped it and went on about my business. Didn't realize it was almost at 100 plays. So I appreciate that. Numbers didn't normally get that high. So I guess people just wanted to hear about Andrade throwing Thug Rose on her head.
Yeah, wow.
So thank all you guys who listened. That was dope. And of course, shout outs to the listeners, Tumblr folk, Twitter folk. I got to throw in Instagram folk now because I post on there too. Appreciate you guys for listening. Remember to share with a friend, text it to somebody. If you're in an Uber and you're about to leave the Uber, like, hey, listen to this. Force the podcast on people. That's
Dude, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but like, why does our episode for 211 have so many damn like? I never look at like the actual numbers on these things.
Which one was 211?
211 was episode 25 and has like 500 plus listens.
What car was that?
I don't know, but the topic is UFC 211 review and ringtone rappers. It was Miocic Dos Santos too.
What are you guys listening to? It's so weird to watch episode numbers because you never know like which fights people really care to hear about. Because there are some fights where I'm like, oh, everybody's gonna want to hear this, and then the numbers don't get that high. And then there are other fights that I didn't even care about, and I look at the numbers and I'm like, y'all really, this was what y'all,
I mean, yeah, people. Maybe it was the ringtone rappers part.
That could be. That could be.
But when we're not talking about this nonsense sport,
right?
This circus show, we tend to have really good conversations about whatever.
It's interesting to see what episodes kind of just bring people in.
It's also really easy to tell which cards we want to talk about.
That is true.
We won't get to the MMA part until like an hour in. And then we wonder how we run 4 hours.
Right. That is true. So yeah, some of these cards we come in and it's like, yeah, this is gonna be one of them days.
This is homework.
But shout outs to the listeners, man. Number 1 city for the week, Everett, Washington. Number 2, San Francisco, California. Number 3, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Number 4, Lady Lake, Florida. And number 5, Carlsbad, California. And real quick, shout outs to number 6, which I don't think I've ever seen pop up on the list. Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. I don't know how you guys got here, but just stay. Don't leave. Clicked here by accident. It's fine. Don't panic. Just stay here. You'll find something you like eventually. Promise.
Shouts to was Nam Pham Vietnamese? If so, shouts to him.
There we go. Nam Pham got the list. He sent it to all his family members. We appreciate you. But yeah, so shout outs to the listeners. So today's episode, as always, cover some news and notes for the week. Not really a busy news week whatsoever. A couple of notable fight announcements that we'll get to, and then as far as fights, I'll briefly talk about Glory because I only watched 2 fights, but I think it was a card worth watching, and it's on Fight Pass. So if you still have Fight Pass, you can go back and watch the card in its entirety. I will do a nice rant and rave about the One Championship Enter the Dragon card because it was awesome. It was amazing. I feel bad for Sage Northcutt, though. That kind of hurt my feelings. But, such is life. Such is life. And then, of course... Oh, no. And then... Did you get the chance to watch the Wilder Breazeale fight?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, don't...
Nobody wants to watch.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we will finish off with the UFC.
I have thoughts and opinions
On...
Breazeale Wilder.
It was funny because I'm not gonna talk about the fight, but like I went out for that. I went out for that card. Went over a friend's house, and a guy who I didn't know him, but he was coming over to watch the fights. And most of us were there to watch like all of the undercard, and there was like one guy who I think was just coming just to watch the main event. And by the time he knocked on the door, the fight was over. Like, he came in as the replay was happening.
But I get the whole thing about like wanting to be like, Wilder fights aren't really the ones I'd have like viewing parties for. You feel me?
Well, as I found out, the host of the party, he's a huge Wilder fan.
Well,
I think just a boxing fan in general, but like Wilder's like his guy.
That's good.
Yeah, so he wanted to.
It feels like that Fury fight really did wonders for Wilder in terms of like making him like, I don't want to say a draw because he was a draw in comparison to other Americans, but like his name seems to be out there a lot more.
Yeah.
Like he has like I saw like the numbers on Twitter, and Twitter, we found out recently like 10% of people on Twitter make up like 90% of the tweets on Twitter, so it really is meaningless as a metric for success. But like his numbers were like more than I've seen for like big UFC pay-per-views. And so just people tweet, like it was over 130,000 people tweeting about him, which is insane.
He is one of those guys. I feel like now people are. Yeah, he's like a name now.
Yeah, it only took 40 knockouts, but he finally did it.
Right. We appreciate you, Wilder, bringing people together so we can come together and eat pizza and watch people get knocked out.
World's shortest viewing party.
Thank God, like we were there for like the undercard, because if we literally just would have came for that fight, yeah, we would have been in and out the door.
I mean, imagine the people who pay for the ticket. I was going to go to the Barclays if there was no UFC yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, do I really want to go for what's probably going to be a 10-second fight?
Yeah, and that was another thing about the Tank Davis fight. Is like, what if he just knocks this guy out in about 2 rounds? I put myself through all this traffic. So
You gotta be part of them. I mean, it depends who's he fighting. Who's he gonna be fighting?
I don't know. I don't know if they announced an opponent yet, or maybe they did. I just don't remember.
They just rented out this. They just got the space.
Yeah, and it's going down in like July, I want to say.
Mandatory Ricardo Nunes coming in July. Let's see, Ricardo Nunes.
Please.
I mean, most mandatories are garbage. So
yeah, he might
like,
watch.
Not to shortchange Nunes, but he's like 21 into 19 knockouts. One loss by knockout. His best win is probably Elvis Torres. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Davis should steamroll the shit out of this guy.
Yeah. So we'll see. Now that's a quick mention to those of you if you're in Maryland. Tank Davis will be fighting at the Royal Farms Arena in July. I don't think tickets are on sale yet, but if you want to go see a hometown guy fight, keep your eye open. I'm pretty sure those tickets will probably sell out pretty quick. So, but go to the Royal Farms Arena, have a good time. I may be there, may not, but yeah. So that'll be a thing. But on to news and notes for the week. Like I said earlier, not the busiest week in news, but there are still a couple of notable fights and headlines, so I will just run these from the top. Biggest fight announcement that happened during the past week. Max Holloway has his next title defense. He will be fighting Frankie Edgar at UFC 240. I guess real quick, how do you feel about Frankie getting the fight? Because I've seen people kind of split on this.
So for those who don't know, because I don't think we mentioned it. I don't think we knew last week when we were recording. Alexander Volkanovski is currently in Chile on a hospital bed because he's a really bad blood infection. That man was not going to be able to fight in July, and there is no reason he should fight in July. And if Max Holloway was ready to go in July or August, and from what he said, he was ready to go, I don't see a reason why Holloway would have to wait for him. Feel me? Holloway's ready. He's the champ. He wants to defend. That's what we want from champions. He's fighting someone he's never fought before. Who's Edgar coming off a win over? Is it Cub?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, so okay, it's not the best win. We just saw Cub lose to Shane Burgos, but at the same time, Frankie is a known he's a known fight, he's a known B-sider for Max. He is a former champion. He is probably, I'm not gonna say on the downside, even though he probably is physically, but at the same time he's a fresh face for Max anyway. So I don't get the problem. If Max wants to fight in July, let him fight in July, because if he wins, he'll probably fight again in October, which is where they're going to do that big stadium card down in Australia. So I don't we want guys to defend, and then we want them to sit on the shelf and wait for the rightful challenger. That's not how that works. You gotta pick one or the other.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the blood thing, I could see why people would be angry. Because at that point, I probably would pick Volkanovski over Edgar. But yeah, that kind of situation is you don't really want to mess around with that. And to Frankie's credit, and can't believe a couple of years ago I would never defend Frankie. Wasn't Frankie? I could be wrong here. My memory's hazy. Didn't after the Yair Rodruguez paddling, wasn't he next in line? And then
Max pulled. I think Max pulled twice on that fight. They were supposed to fight in December or November or something. Max got hurt. They moved it to February. Max got hurt.
And then he took the Ortega fight.
And then Frankie, to save the card, took the Brian Ortega fight.
And yeah, we saw how that saw how that turned out.
Exactly.
So he was up there. I know Frankie's name because we've seen a lot of new faces at featherweight, and Frankie's name just sometimes it just kind of gets lost in the mix. But he's been up there. So I'm not gonna be too mad at this. Like I said, if it wasn't for if Volkanovski was perfectly healthy and he didn't have this whole blood incident thing going on, then I could see the outrage. But I'll let this one slide. I don't think Frankie's gonna win, if I'm being honest. But I'm not gonna be too angry at it. And I'm pretty sure after that fight, Volkanovski will definitely be left in line because at that point, assuming that Max is still champ, Max has pretty much dusted everyone else. So,
there is not a lot of bodies lined up after that.
Yeah. So pretty much by default, Volkanovski will be.
Yeah, so unless the beat fumbles against what's his face, who's he supposed to fight next? We talked about this.
We did, and it was a fight I was pretty excited for, and now I can't remember. But
Brian Ortega. So
Yeah.
unless the beat fumbles against Brian Ortega in August or July or whenever that fight's supposed to happen, like there's really nobody left unless anybody here thinks that like Josh Emmett is gonna, you know,
right.
do the damn thing and climb up the rankings. But I mean, like, we're still waiting on Yair Rodriguez to come back after his amazing fight with KZ. We're still waiting on KZ to come back. Bektik still up there, like, but they're still a win or two away,
Right.
and that would have to be a pretty big win. So
So Volkanovski, I'm pretty sure he'll get his chance. Now, if he gets snubbed again for the second time in a row, then we can revisit this conversation.
yeah,
But
unless Henry Cejudo beats Marlon Moraes and calls out the featherweight champion,
right.
and then they give it to him for some inexplicable reason, like,
And then he wins.
and then he wins, and yeah, Volk is next.
Right. But yeah, but for now, I'll calm down on that fight. But yeah, Max versus Frankie, that'll be going down at UFC 240. At UFC Sacramento, we got a couple of fight announcements on that card. We'll have Darren Elkins versus Ryan Hall, Sarah McMahon versus Nico Montano. We mentioned Nico a couple of times in the past recent podcasts, so good to see she still has a job. And this will be at 135, not 125. So we'll see how she does in a new weight class. And then we'll also have on that same card Cynthia Calvillo versus Livia Hanada Souza, which is a fight I'm definitely looking forward to. At UFC San Antonio, we will have Alexei Oleinik versus Walt Harris, Liz Carmouche versus Roxanne Modafferi, Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres against Steven Peterson, and Raquel Pennington versus Irene Aldana, who just fought 3 days ago. So she'll be back in action. At UFC 239, we'll have Alejandro Perez versus Song Yadong. And at UFC 242, we'll have Bilal Muhammad versus Takashi Sato. That is all I have for actual fight matchups. For news headlines of the week, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard by now. If not, Tyron Woodley is out of the Robbie Lawler fight due to injury. Everybody and their mom is throwing their name in the hat for that fight, and I don't blame them. Feel like if you fight Robbie, for one, you know it's going to be a good time. Very possible that you get a fight bonus because it's just going to be one of those kind of fights. Well, hopefully if you come out on the right end of it, but nah. I'll say for the Robbie sweepstakes, I'm all for Zaleski getting the number one bid. I wouldn't be mad at Ponzi. I'll take Ponzi if there's no Zaleski. But if I had to pick, I'm going Zaleski. I want Zaleski Robbie in the violent weight sweepstakes. But we'll see how that goes. USADA, they're back. They're finding people doing things, I guess, that they shouldn't be doing. Apparently, Neil Magny failed a post-fight test for, I'm going to butcher this. Did I even write the whole word down? Dihydroxy LGD 40-30-30? No, sorry, 40-33. I have no idea what that is. I just wrote it down. I don't know what that does. But apparently it's something you shouldn't be doing. So,
let's see. Like, that is a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a lot. But the article I read, Neil, you know the fighter speech. I'm in full cooperation with USADA. We'll get to the bottom of this, so on and so forth. I've always been transparent, so on and so forth. You guys know how the spiel goes. So yeah, that was the thing that happened. He was just a weird name for me to see. Like, Neil Magny failed. I don't know.
All right, so apparently it's the drug is also known as SARM, selective androgen receptor modulator. and it increases muscle growth and strength. So this is not something that probably was just in a contaminated supplement.
Well, I don't want to throw around accusations, so
I do.
I'm gonna wait till further findings till this all concludes. I guess you're just gonna say Magni's on the juice.
I mean, yeah.
The juice.
Who isn't on the juice?
the juice got loose again.
The juice is always loose. We need to stop pretending that it's not, because it is.
It's MMA in like that baseball era back in the day where like we just assumed everybody was on it. It was just a matter of who got caught.
No, they're like in the same era where like everybody knew that Barry Bonds was on the juice, but nobody cared. We're past that era. We're on the era where everybody's on the juice, and we all know everybody's on the juice, so we're just waiting for them like the dominoes to fall.
I was thinking of this the other day, random side tangent, but kind of related to this. I know you don't really watch the NFL, but for anybody who's a football fan, the cornerback from the Cardinals, I think Patrick Peterson, just got suspended for the first 6 games of the upcoming season for failing, I guess, like whatever their drug test is for like PEDs. And I was thinking like, why is it in other sports I feel like nobody cares, but in MMA we make like a huge, like I've never heard in football like a player test positive for a PED, and then like he comes back the next season or whenever his suspension is over, and he finishes off the season really great, and nobody's like, oh, but it's the drugs, he's a cheater. Like we just chalk it up as, oh, he just had a great season. But if like you're a fighter and you fail and you could come back and win your next 5 fights, even if you don't test positive again, and they'll always just hang that over your head.
I think it comes down to a couple things, like the shift in focus from one-on-one to like a team sport where like the fans are getting behind a brand more than they are getting behind like a player. So like if I don't know a football player's name.
Say Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. If Tom Brady was on the juice, and he probably is, let's be real. If Tom Brady was on the juice and like it came out, you know, other teams would probably hate him. Like other like fans of other teams would probably. I don't think the Boston/New England fans would give a damn. Like maybe there'd be like a few old curmudgeon-y types that are like, oh, you're ruining the sport for the kids, but like at the end of the day, as long as he puts Super Bowls, you know, in the history books for the Patriots, like who the fuck really cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm always
also real quick. I forgot. I think it's just the aspect. Like if I think football is a way worse sport than like fighting for this type of stuff. Like in terms of like just getting your brain rattled. But I think the connotation that you are actively trying to hurt another person doesn't help in MMA.
Yeah, that is true.
Like Claudia Gadelha of all people, after last week's on Instagram, going on in her story tweeting that steroided freak is going to kill somebody in that ring if they don't stop her. You know, glass houses and all that. But like that's the connotation that comes with being on roids. Like, oh, you're gonna kill somebody, which, you know, roids doesn't give you superhuman strength.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always speaking from a place of ignorance because I don't really know. I don't know like the scientific breakdown of what these PEDs do. Everybody's using different stuff. Some people using needles. Some, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff out there making people superhumans. But there's just like this part of me. The part of me that doesn't care is like, even if you are juicing, yeah, it definitely. I'm not gonna say it doesn't give you an advantage. It definitely. I can see how it does. But I have a hard time erasing somebody's entire career and just attributing it to, oh, he was on the juice. Because there's still other things about fighting that aren't like strength and, you know.
Yeah, like you still have to get in the gym every day and work.
Right. And that's kind of, I think, where I'm at for Jones, where it's like, has he probably used performance-enhancing drugs? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has. But there are just other things he does that I'm like, PEDs didn't make you do that. PEDs had no I can't chalk.
Let's put it this way. Neil Magny is on PEDs, and he can't do half the shit John Jones does.
Right. So it's like, if PEDs made everybody so great, then we should have way more John Joneses running around than we do. So, you know, they play a part, but you can't erase somebody's entire career and just say they had no skill and it was all PEDs. Like, PEDs aren't making you sharper, aren't making you fight smart. You can be super fast and super strong and still go in there and get flatlined because you just have like zero fight IQ and you don't know what you're doing.
I will say, I think the counter argument to that would be PEDs maybe don't make you like sharper or more technically like skilled, but they do give you the energy to be in the gym longer.
That is true. Yeah, and that's the other side of it, where I'm like, if it wasn't for the PEDs, would you be able to pull off these techniques? Because now you just have this abundance of energy.
Right.
But no, I don't want to spend too much time on that. But yeah, just to throw that out there, random PED conversation. But Neil Magny failed. We'll see what comes of that.
Stop on the risk or a 3-year ban.
Yeah, either or, no in between. No in between. And last headline I got, Rachel Ostovich's husband, Arnold Burdon, however you say it, nobody cares. He was sentenced to 4 years probation for the domestic violence case that was a thing. It's kind of wild. Just no jail time at all.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Yeah.
He got off easy.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know. What can you do? This is... No, I don't know. But, I don't know. He got punished some kind of way. Probably not to the fullest extent of what should have happened, but he got 4 years probation. So, figured I'd mention that because that was a story that we did cover, and that was a thing. That was a pretty big story when it did break. So, just wanted to, I guess, give closure to that. And, I won't even save this for parting shots and shout-outs. I'll just mention it now because if you guys watched the fights last night, you saw it on the broadcast. Shout out to Rashad Evans. He is now in the UFC Hall of Fame and I think it was the Modern Era wing. I don't know which one. Doesn't matter. He's in the Hall of Fame anyway. So shout out to Rashad Evans in the Hall of Fame. I'll forever hold it against him that he killed Chuck Liddell, but you know.
Hey, who didn't?
Yeah, everybody. At the end of Chuck Liddell's career, everybody killed him.
Chuck Liddell is killing Chuck Liddell at this point.
Right. But no, like good on Rashad Evans being in the Hall of Fame. Like he's a reminder for me that there was once a time in MMA when like 205 was like one of the most exciting divisions to watch, and he was a part of that time. And now it's
Ed fucking Herman, baby.
I mean, it's getting better, but it's not. It ain't. Back when, you know, we had Rashad and Rampage and, you know, Machida and a younger Shogun, all these other guys run around. You know, that era was a good time. That was a good time for 205, man. We had a lot of special moments, a lot of classic fights that happened in that division. Rashad Evans was part of that conversation. So
I've been out the loop for like a really long time when it comes to MMA fans. Like, I don't go on Sherdog or the Underground anymore. Do they still make Ricardo Arona jokes? Are those still things? Is he still surfing on the beach in Brazil somewhere? Is that a thing?
I haven't seen him pop up in weirdly enough, I mentioned him like last week when people were complaining about the slam.
Right.
We were all gonna act like we didn't all jump out of our minds when when Rampage almost powerbombed this man through through the arena. No, I haven't heard the Rona joke. I think he's.
That's sad. There was a 3-year period where everybody thought the guy that beat John Jones was Ricardo Arona.
No, I haven't heard his name in a while. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for news notes. Unless you got anything for missing.
Nothing good. I mean, I can check. I think we covered basically everything on. Oh, actually, I will say, Bellator signed Phil Hawes. I'm excited for that. I think Hawes got the Raw end of the deal fighting in I don't even know if it was PFL or WSOF at the time. Freaking, he's like 3 or 4-0, and they have him fight Lewis Taylor, who ends up to go on to win their middleweight tournament. Like, come on.
Throw him into the wolves.
Yeah, like, and then he fights Julian Marquez on like Dana White's Contender Series or something, and like, come on. Like, Marquez, like, he was equally as young, but that's just a style that, like, that hard-headed, hard to take down style where it's just a prospect. You're gonna be flustered, and you're gonna be like wondering what you're doing wrong because the other guy isn't going away. Like, Marquez is a hard ass man. Like, but no, that's basically it. Like, I'm excited. I think Phil Hawes could potentially one day be like a top 10 middleweight. So I'm excited for that.
We'll see. Chance at redemption.
Exactly.
So.
Oh wait, we talked about that fight last week. Never mind. I was gonna say, do we mention Pacquiao Thurman? I was just like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, we'll move on. But all right. So let's get into some fights. I'll start real quick with Glory 65. Only because I only got a chance to see 2 of these fights, but I will mention some of the other fights that I heard were good, and I'll recommend that you guys watch the card. It's on Fight Pass. Everybody who I saw was watching it seemed like they were having a good time. I was trapped at work for the majority of this card, so I didn't get to watch a lot of it. But anywho, the main event of that card, Glory 65, was Alex Pereira versus Jason Wilness. These two have fought various times before. Can't remember who beat who, but they got a history. This fight did not last at all. Oh, and also for the Glory middleweight title, for those who don't know. So my story for this fight was I was in the parking lot of Walmart. The co-main event had just ended, and I was like, man, I need to go in Walmart. I need to shop because I'm really hungry. I need to go get food so I can go home and eat. And I decided while I was in Walmart, I was like, let me just pull up Fight Pass and just watch this while I'm shopping. And I was in the frozen food section about to go get myself some nice green veggies. And from the time I got in the frozen food section to the time I got to the end of the aisle, the fight was over. Pereira came out and he just dropped bombs on Wilness. I think he dropped him twice, and then he KO'd him with a flying knee. Not a lot to analyze. The fight lasted a little over a minute. Pereira just absolutely destroyed him. He's been a beast in Glory at middleweight. I enjoy watching him fight. The man he is a destructive force. If you get a chance, go watch the Alex Pereira fight. He's also the guy, if you guys see the highlights, one of the gentlemen who did beat Israel Adesanya when they were both kickboxers. Pereira's legit, man. That dude is legit.
Yep. I'm just trying to think, like, who else is there for Pereira?
I don't know. And I thought at one time he was going to go into MMA, but
yeah, like, he was like, I'm gonna go do Dana, or he wanted to get into the UFC or something.
Yeah, and then nothing never, like,
I don't think anything ever came of it. And he's like 35, so if he doesn't make the jump, I don't blame him. I was thinking this watching this fight because this is the third time they fought. Wellness is like 41.
Yeah.
Like, Artem Levin's gone.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Pereira, at the time the time I remember like hearing about him was the Simon Marcus fight, and he came in the first time, and I think he bodied Marcus. So yeah, and Glory, he doesn't. I don't know what else he has left to really like accomplish.
Like he's fought Yusri Belgadi. I can't pronounce names, man. I'm sorry to whoever is Dutch because I suck at names. But he fought him 3 times and beat him twice, knocked him out, or stopped him twice. Like Artem Levin's never gonna fight in Glory ever again, probably. So, like middleweight and up at in kickboxing seems a lot like heavy middleweight and up in MMA, where it's just like you got like 8 guys who are really good, and then it's everybody else.
Yeah. And then the one guy who's champ it just seems like he's so far ahead of everybody else.
And then again, like it just takes one guy figuring out how to beat him for it to just fall apart.
Yeah. We'll see though, man. Pereira's a beast, so go back. If you got Fight Pass, you can go back and check that out. Co-main event, Marat Grigorian versus Sitchai Sitchong Pingyang. I heard that name pronounced a bunch of times. I thought I could get it. I tried. But
Sampinon?
Yeah, see. You got it. I struggled. But this was an awesome fight, man. Sitchai, he lost, which is kind of wild because he's just been winning a lot lately. I think he hasn't lost in like 3 years.
His last loss was to somebody who actually Grigorian beat, Superbon.
And that was
over
when
in like Kunlun fighting, but yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Sitchai, if you've been watching his Glory run, he's just been out here, he's just been winning. But nah, man, Grigorian put on a really good fight. I was watching this fight while I was waiting in the long drive-through ATM line at my bank. So I just sat and watched this. But oh man, like Sitchai just couldn't get I feel like he couldn't really just get a lot off. Like it almost seemed like he was just kind of coasting, and then by the time he was falling behind, like there wasn't really much to do to get back in the fight. Grigorian just kept good pressure on him. He was landing more. It was a great like kind of technical fight. I don't remember anything like super crazy happening, but then my memory is kind of hazy. But I just remember Grigorian just really
knocked him down.
Oh yeah, he did knock him down. Like Grigorian was just like he was like super like laser focused in that fight. Like he was really trying to, and I think he had a good start and he just kind of kept that momentum going. And for Sitchai, like basically by the time the 5th round rolled around, it's like, dude, you might need a knockout punch to end this. And Sitchai is not really he can catch you flush, but he's not really out here like one shot KOing dudes. So congrats to Grigorian though, man. That was a really good performance. Went the distance all 5 rounds. Like I said, Sitchai was a guy who's just been out here just winning, and Grigorian finally was able to get that belt. So Marat Grigorian is your new Glory lightweight champion. I feel like these two will probably end up fighting again somehow. But
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
kickboxing, you can fight each other like 10,000 times.
Right. So we'll probably see them two cross paths again. But that was an awesome fight. Other fights I'll mention: Donovan Wise beat Yusuri Bell. I think this was the guy you just mentioned, whose name I already can't say. Yusuri Balguri. He won via decision. I did see this fight. Another fight which rounded out the main card. Ivan Dannenberg versus Yassine Agan. Dannenberg caught him with a nice knee to the body to end that fight. It looked pretty painful. That only lasted 1 round, so you can go back and watch that. That was the main card. The one other fight I'll mention on this card, Tajani Bazadi and Josh Jouncey. I wanted to see that fight, but I need to go back and watch it. I heard it was really good. I like Bazadi. I like how he fights. Also at lightweight. So I heard that was a fun fight. Tajani beat him via unanimous decision. So I'll have to go back and watch a lot of this card. But if you have Fight Pass, go back and watch Glory 65. You can watch the entire card on Fight Pass. So that was a thing. So that's Glory 65. It was pretty dope. Go watch it.
Glory 66 in June, everybody. Just saying.
Come right back around. You know who's headlining that one?
Cedric Doumbé versus Alim Nebiev. They also, for the welterweight title, they also have Artem Vakitov defending his light heavyweight title against Donagi Abena. And super bantamweight champion Anissa Mexon is going to defend against Sophia Olofsson.
There we go. That's a
So
good
you
card.
got 3 title fights.
There you go.
I'm just gonna say I'm happy they ditched the tournament on every card format. Like I haven't been paying close attention to Glory, so I don't know when they when that became a thing, like when they stopped doing that. But I'm really happy they did because like I like a good tournament, but like if you have one on every card and it's always a one night thing, it doesn't feel really potent.
Yeah. And then you run into the danger of you just keep seeing the same faces
Right.
over and over. So it's good to just switch the matchups around. Just keep things interesting.
Yeah, like I get it. It makes matchmaking a lot easier if you can just throw 4 dudes in a tournament and be like, okay, fight it out. Who gets to be the champion? Who gets to fight the champion? Whatever. But at the same time, like you said, the same guys kept on winning, and it kind of just felt like a formality at one point. And they were just putting people in there to put them in there, and they had no business being in there.
You throw Robin Van Rossmoolen in a tournament, you know he's winning.
Right.
Or he's at least getting to the finals.
Or like you get like a freak accident and like somebody gets their eye cut or they can't make it to the final bout, and then you're out of like the guy who you thought was gonna win is not even in the finals because of a freak accident or something.
Yeah. And you can only hope, which we'll probably never see again. Way back in the day, probably one of my favorite nights of combat history when Andy Risty knocked out Petrosian and Rossmoolen in the same night.
Dude, that was crazy to see live.
That was, man. I don't know. I can't remember what Glory. That was back in the day, man. That was a while ago. But that was a night like I'll never forget that, because I think that was when I first started really kind of getting like myself familiar with kickboxing. And I remember people telling me how good Petrosian was, but I'd never seen him fight before. And people were like, "Oh, he's like the Anderson Silva of kickboxing." I'm like, "Oh," so I was like super hyped to watch this fight. And I watch it, and he just gets mauled. And I think he was number 1. He was ranked number 1, and then Rossmoolen was like number 2. That was a wild night. Go back and watch that. That was a classic. But that was Glory 65. So I know real quick, I know you were like slightly watching one while we were recording.
Oh yeah, I saw the stoppage.
Lee and Aoki.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we'll just get to it. So I got a chance to watch most of this card. I don't think Antaku didn't get to see as much. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm lying, so I might rant a little bit because it was a really good card. I am only gonna stick to the main card, but I guess real quick, on the undercard, shout outs to Gary Tonin. He did get a win over Yoshiki Nakahara. He caught him in a nasty, I think that was a knee bar. I can't remember if it was knee bar, leg. One of those. I can't remember. But it looked painful, regardless. So he is now, I think, like 4-0. Shout out to Mei Yamaguchi on the undercard. She got a nice first round armbar. She dominated Laura Berlin. And I think that's and for anybody who cares on the kickboxing front, Joe Nottawut. Actually, no, I will mention that because he's in their featherweight Grand Prix tournament. So Joe Nottawut TKO'd Sasha Moisa in the featherweight kickboxing World Grand Prix quarterfinal. So that was the some of the prelims. Main card of one championship, Enter the Dragon. I still can't believe they never used this title before. But anywho, main event.
Blank.
Right. But the main event, man, Shinya Aoki versus Christian Lee. One championship has wanted Christian Lee to be a champion for the longest time. And he finally he pulled it off, man. And I got to give him props because at the beginning of this fight, Aoki was getting a hold of him pretty easy, and he took him down. I was like, oh, boy, it's going to be one of them, you know. Like, Lee had his chance, and then it's just going to be taken away. And he managed to get out of some tough spots, man. Aoki had him in an armbar that I thought was going to end it. And, boy, Lee fought tooth and nail to get out of that armbar. Like, he did everything in his power, and he managed to get out of it. It was kind of wild just watching Aoki be able to get in on him, but Lee kept finding ways to get out. He was in dangerous spots, but he got out of them. And then in the second round, he caught Aoki, I want to say, with like a left that staggered him. And then he just kind of bum rushed him. Caught him with some ground and pound, and it was over. How'd you feel about the stoppage? You think it was early, or?
Yeah, Aoki was literally just standing up as Lee was swarming him. Like, I don't have a good angle on, like, you know, his eyes to see if they were like glazed over, because he does kind of bob a little bit on the ground, like not like bob as in I'm slipping these punches, like bob as in like, oh, my head went limp for a quick second.
Right.
But he's in the middle of standing up when the ref pulls Lee off of him. So I don't know how much of that is you know, the ref jumping the gun or him just seeing something that I'm not able to see from that angle.
Somebody was in his ear like, listen, if Lee has a moment, you give him this belt.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case either.
I'll say
the funniest part to me is Aoki like playfully slapping Lee in the face after the fight, like, while hugging him. And you can tell he is not happy.
Yeah.
Like, it is very much a good for you slap.
And I mean,
not I'm genuinely happy for you.
And you feel for Aoki because, like, there was that one point where, like, it looked like, I don't say he was done, but it was like, man, he, you know.
Yeah.
He had a couple of those performances where it's like, oh, man, he might be on his last, you know, he might be on his last leg. And then he's kind of had, like, this mini, like, resurgence, so to speak. I think for me, it was only because it was, like, a title fight. I tend to think you should give the champ a little. I think they earn like that extra couple of seconds.
Right.
To see if they can, you know, pull it out, see if they can recover. But I guess I'll be okay with it because Aoki didn't complain about it. But I would have liked it to go a couple of more seconds. But it is what it is. Christian Lee went in there. He did his job. So he is the lightweight champ of the world. Angela Lee is still the strawweight champ. No, I lied. Atomweight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, atomweight. She went up to strawweight. And things didn't go well. Well, they went well for like 3 rounds, and then, you know, we talked about it. But anywho, get ready for a lot of promo of Christian Lee and Angela Lee from One Championship. Brother-sister champions. They're about to shove that down our throats. I don't blame them. I know, you know, I foresaw this happening. So that'll probably be a thing. But congrats to Christian Lee, man. Awesome performance. Came out, got the win. He is now your new lightweight champion at One Championship. Co-main event, man. All of the kickboxing fights on this card were fire. Nikki Holzken versus Regin Ercel. This was for the lightweight title over at One in kickboxing, not, you know, MMA, because they throw every kind of fight on one card. But
yeah, like can we talk about the kickboxing side of this card? What the hell happened?
Because
it seems like all the kickboxers that I knew
lost.
Yeah, like guys who, like, speaking of Giorgio Petrosian losing again.
Yeah, this was the card where, like, all of the big names, all of them lost. Like, and man, it sucks for. I'll get to it because these fights are listed 3 in a row, so I'll get to them. Nikki, and well, first I'll just say Nikki Holzken versus Regin Ercel was an amazing fight. If you did not get a chance to watch, good on One Championship. They posted these fights pretty fast to their YouTube page. So I know that Nikki versus Ursel is on the YouTube page, so go watch that. And if you're in the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook group, I think I posted it on there. But no, it was an amazing fight, man. These two went back and forth, and Nikki looked really good for about the first 3 rounds, maybe about the first two and part of the third, and then Ursel started getting some body shots off, and it just seemed like Nikki kind of slowed down, and he was just able to just get his way back in the fight. But they were trading, man, like throwing combinations, dudes are getting hit, getting rocked. Like it was a really good fight. And it felt like one of those fights that Nikki could have won because he started off so well, but I think he did drop like the last couple. And it was like, man, Nikki, like you were right. It was such a good fight. Like you feel for him. It's like, man, you were right there. But Ursel was game, man. Like it was an amazing just back and forth. By like the 5th round, it was like dudes are just running on fumes at this point, but they're still out here just throwing. It was. I wish I could give more specifics because I didn't get a chance to really rewatch this as much as I did the UFC card, so it's not as fresh in my mind as I like it to be. But oh boy, it was such a good fight, man. Probably is. I'm not gonna say fight of the year, but it's probably one of the best fights I've seen this year. It was really really good. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it because friggin'. Has Holtz been kickboxing since he did the whole WBSS boxing tournament thing?
Yeah, he who did he fight before this? I feel like he fought like once after that thing happened. But he's been okay, like because it's weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say his glory run ended kind of like
Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching him here. He looks like he's much more fluid, much less hesitant.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah, fluid. He looked smooth. He looked comfortable. Yeah, I think I want to say it was that 3rd round he started getting caught with like body shots, and you could see just the tide of the fight started to turn. But yeah, he was one of the 3 big names on this card that went down. But props to Region, man. These two I'm pretty sure will have to fight again because that fight was too good to have them not rematch. But we'll see how that goes. But Region Ursel is the kickboxing lightweight champ over at One Championship. So Nikki was the first big kickboxing name that went down. The next name that went down, who was the favorite to win the featherweight tournament, Giorgio Petrosian fought Pech Marat Pechidi. I'm gonna say that wrong. I'm just gonna call him Pech. But so I will say for this fight, it went to split decision. I didn't rewatch this fight. I think I only did watch it the first initial time. I think I did give it to Petrosian. It was a really close fight. And as a couple of people I saw posted on Twitter, probably one of the more like aggressive performances I've seen from Petrosian. Because in the times I've seen him fight, he's like a super technician, but he doesn't really like rush anything. It seemed like in this fight he was really like going for it. I don't know. It was a close fight. I guess you could argue either way. I thought Giorgio won it, but apparently Patch did enough on the judges' scorecard. I mean, he did. I'm not gonna say like he got washed. Like it was definitely a really competitive fight.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying Petrosian should have won the fight.
I thought Petrosian should have won. It was close, but I felt like Petrosian was edging him, and I thought to me he was pushing the fight more. Which was, like I said, weird because I've seen him be very like defensive at times, and it seemed like in this fight he was like, "Nah, I'm really trying to make a point." And yeah, I know he dropped a split decision, man. It was just one of those fights where it's like, yeah, and it sucks because, well, you know what? I'm not gonna say it sucks because the story of tonight, or of that night, the fight that everybody wanted to see, and I think we're gonna get to see anyway, was Petrosian versus Yatsenkla, which is the fight that everybody wanted to see for the finals. Unfortunately, both of them lost. So I'll just get on to the next fight. Yatsen Fairtex versus Sammy Sana. Boy, if you
They just ruined the fuck out of the
Yeah.
70 kg fucking rankings. Just took a goddamn sledgehammer to it.
Yeah, like, and it's crazy because if you've watched Yatsen and one so far, the man has been just like a wrecking machine. Like he's just been out here just handling business, and he ran into a dude who was not playing games. And this was another fight that was really awesome to watch. But boy, Sammy was taking it to he took it to Yatsen man. Like, and I this wasn't like the Petrosian fight where it's like, oh man, Petrosian, arguably won that fight. Like, Yatsen lost this fight. Like, I love Yatsen. He took a L. Like, Sammy was just really long, really rangy. He rocked Yatsen. I think he put him down a couple times, I want to say. Dude just went out there, man. He was just game. Like, I've never, at least in the one fights I've seen Yatsen in, I haven't seen him fight somebody who really took it to him like this. Like, Sammy really went out there and just kind of, he handled business, man. And I mean, it was a competitive fight, but you just see how strong Sammy was. Like, just some of those shots he was landing, it was like, oh man, I've never seen Yatsen get hit this hard before. Like, and by the time that second and third round rolls around, it's like, oh man, he's really gonna lose. And boy, Sammy Sana was game. So the Giorgio Petrosian Yatsen fight that we all wanted in the finals will not be happening. But I mean, since they both lost, they can fight each other now. I don't see why not. Like, unfortunately, it won't be for a title, but because I almost feel like it would have been worse somehow if like one of them would have won and the other would have lost.
Right.
And it would have delayed it. But they both lost. So now you can now y'all can just fight. But unfortunately, it won't be for 5 rounds. It'll just be for 3. Unless we make y'all... I don't know. I can't remember if one does 5-round main events. If they're not title fights. I don't know how that works. But, another just awesome fight. But, yeah, the big 3, man. Petrosian, Yatsen and Nikki Holskin all went down. Wild night. But great fights nonetheless. I'm gonna save Sage for last. I'm gonna skip down one fight real quick, cause I can't remember. I think it was you who mentioned this guy when the brackets first got announced for the lightweight tournament, and now we're switching back to MMA. In one, Amir Khan versus Saigi Gusen Arsen Lai. Oh, that's 3 different
names. The man with the 1,000 letter name, yeah.
Arslan Aliyev. Let's say that. Yeah, boy, he's a beast. Yeah, he got Amir Khan out of there within a round. He advances in the lightweight tournament.
This is the same dude who beat the dude who beat Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, he a problem. He's a man on a mission out here. Keep an eye on him, and I don't know what side of the bracket he's on. I don't know who he's getting next, but yeah, that guy's good. So he got Amir Khan out of there. I guess I'll just mention this fight. I didn't know it was a part of the flyweight World Grand Prix alternate. Kim Kyu-sung. He lost. Kim Kyu-sung lost to GJ Estequio via unanimous decision. And now I'll just skip back up. Well, just to round off the main card. Miao Litao defeated Dejmrong Sor Amu Sirichok via KO in round 1. But skip back up. Sage Northcutt, Cosmo Alexandre. If you saw the highlight of the fight, you pretty much saw the entire fight. Because not much else happened.
Talk about ROI, man.
Oof.
Return on investment, because one spends 2018, the end of 2018 anyway, signing and trading for some big names from the UFC, or if not big names, like at least big talent. They get Eddie, they get DJ, and they get Sage, and now two of them have lost in their very first fights in the promotion.
And I just lost. They got.
Yeah, no, they got murked inside the first round.
Yeah.
Why did I don't know why this fight was made.
I know why, but I don't know either. Like, on paper, and for people who don't know, if Cosmo's name doesn't ring a bell, very good kickboxer.
One of the best Breazeales ever produced.
Yeah. So, and I'll save it because I kind of have a spiel about this fight, but I'll talk about the fight first, then I'll go on the spiel. But yeah, point being, if you know Cosmo's background, I don't think he's had a ton of MMA fights, but just in terms of combat sports in general, it's not like this man is out here just some scrub. Like, dude is a very high level kickboxer, and it's not like we've never seen Sage get rocked before. Like, Sage got hands put on him by Mickey Gall, of all people. So him losing this fight wasn't surprising. I didn't think it'd be so devastating. But, like, on paper, I see why they booked this fight. Sage versus Cosmo, you know they're both going to stand. Probably not a lot of takedowns going on in this fight. We're just going to get a fun, nice, rock'em, sock'em, one of those. Hindsight 50-50, you kind of look at Sage's history. You look at Cosmo's experience as a striker. And then you look at the other people who Sage, even if he's beaten them, has been, like, clipped by. And it's like, is this too big a step up? Like a bad style matchup? You know.
In every sense of the word, yes.
Yeah.
And, like, here's, like, and for, I guess the thought, I don't know if this was the thought process on one's end, but it certainly seems like it for people who thought, like, Sage was going to go in there and win. Oh, Sage could just take him down because he's a kickboxer / Muay Thai fighter, and it's just like, Cosmo Alexander's like a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, he probably would have been fine with Sage Northcutt on top of him. Because, you know, Sage Northcutt is not all that great of a top wrestler. He hits pretty hard, but he's not a great positional grappler.
Got to work on that defense.
Has to work on that everything. At this point, like, I don't want to say we have to give up on Sage ever being UFC champion, but we should probably give up on Sage ever being UFC champion. He's just too wholesome for this sport, damn it.
Yeah. And, like, I like Sage. He's talented, athletically gifted, but it's like the flaws that he has are, like, glaringly bad. And it's like, if you don't fix these soon, because you've been around for a little bit now, still relatively young, still obviously grow and improve, but you've had a couple run-ins now. You've been around the block a couple times. This can't happen. Like,
at least it shouldn't happen this badly. Like, it's been 5 years since he's been fighting pro, and like, he's been fighting at least as an amateur since he was like 2013. So like, he should be better.
I think and I haven't watched his amateur career, but I'm gonna assume that he's probably gotten by a lot just on his athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll carry you only but so far. And for anybody who didn't see the fight, not a ton happened until Sage, I think he was going for a jab, and Cosmo caught him over the top with a right hand and completely just
shattered his orbital in 8 places.
Yes. Face planted him too. That didn't help. Put not KO of the year, but you know, put him up there in the honorable mentions. It was a mean face plant. Yeah.
And this is probably the most I've seen people talk about a one fight. So from that perspective, good for one, but like you spent all this money trying to get on U.S. television by buying all this U.S. talent, and all you've done so far is bury him. Like to be fair, Eddie Alvarez, like you should have matched him up with anybody because he's a former world champion. He was legitimately a top 5 fighter when he got there. But with Sage, like this, if this was a fight made by the UFC, we would have called it a trap fight.
Yeah. Yep. There's nobody.
Or like Sean Shelby just doesn't like you fight.
Right. he can't get you out of here, but he's looking for an excuse. And this is gonna be the one. This will be the reason he doesn't call your phone Monday morning.
Yep.
Yeah. So my spiel. Now I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because we still got to get to Wilder and then the UFC card. But I posted this on Twitter. Like, people, it's okay. Uncle Dana isn't gonna hurt you. He's not gonna call you a goof, or maybe he will, but you can ignore him. Like, they're good fighters outside of the UFC. Like, that's the thing. It's a reality. It's life. That is a fact of life, as much as people, for whatever reason, like to deny it. And I only bring this up because I saw a lot of people saying, like, oh, and somehow they threw DJ in this category. And you guys know, if you listen to the podcast, I've never been a DJ fan. But, you know, I will defend if right is right. I won't drag his name through the mud for no reason. I saw people saying, like, oh, they sent over Eddie, Sage, and DJ because they were all over the hill and washed and so on and so forth. And I feel like people made it a conversation as to say, like, oh, they made it to more of a thing where, like, oh, these fighters are washed, more than it was like, oh, maybe these other guys in other organizations are actually good.
Yeah, like, and there, I've talked about it before. There's something to be said about facing the consistent quality of competition the UFC offers that forces you to be on your game. But, like, Eddie Alvarez came from somewhere. Jacare and Yoel Romero and Luke Rockhold and Alistair Overeem and all these guys start somewhere else.
Everybody at lightweight.
Everybody like freaking Khabib was what was Khabib's record when he finally got to UFC?
He was like
14 and 15 and 0.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. Like, I get it. I get, like, here's the thing. There are no leagues. You're just promoters. Like, you're not. This isn't the NBA. You're fighting one person who they put in front of you, and they're the best that they can offer at that time. Like, the UFC that happened yesterday happened in a minor league hockey stadium. Aspen Ladd, who is a ranked women's bantamweight, was warming up in the lobby next to the elevators. There is no major league in MMA. There is no major league in combat sports. There are top fighters, and there are promoters who pay them money, and that's it.
Yeah. People are good everywhere, people.
Like, these are people who train with people who are in the UFC. Like, they're not going to be bad.
Right. It's not like because you're not in the UFC, like you just train at the local mom and pop gym. Like, you know, you're just out here at the McDojo, just going in.
Like, not every fighter at ATT is fighting in the UFC.
Right.
Not every fighter training at Greg Jackson's is in the UFC.
Shoot, when Team Alpha Male was like making their run as like a collective, they were scattered all over the place. You had like half of them in the UFC. They were all in like the WEC when that was a thing. Then you had Lance Palmer. He went over to WSOF. Like, they had guys everywhere.
Tachi Palace fights.
Right. Like, they're good fighters everywhere. And I'm not saying, like, you know, fighter for fighter, like, one would beat the UFC. But it's just to say that the top guys in any organization at any day of the week could come over and fight a top guy or even a middle of the road guy in the UFC. They can get a win. That's all I'm saying. Not saying they're world beaters, not saying they're like the GOATs, but
Yeah, like no one's saying Christian Lee is gonna go into the UFC and be the dude to give Khabib his first loss.
right.
But you're telling me he couldn't be competitive with Lando Venata?
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Put respect on people's names out here. It's okay to admit that there are good fighters outside of the UFC. I'll never understand why people just like they have such a hard time admitting. I don't know, it's weird. It's just weird. It's like brand loyalty. I don't know. It is weird. I don't understand
Can we talk about that real quick? Brands are not your friends.
Right.
Like, and I think this carries over from like team sports where like everybody get like, you know, a team is basically just a brand. You know, if you're a Los Angeles Lakers fan, you're behind a brand, and that's basically it. But like, the UFC isn't your friend, guy. Like, they're a brand. Like, PBC is not like a team. They're a brand.
Right. Right. This isn't like you're rooting for, you know. Yeah, that's why it's just weird. Like,
It's bizarre. It's like, and this is like we've seen it more in boxing, especially since the PBC came around, where like you got the defenders and you got the detractors, and like that forces people to become like top rank or golden boy. It's bizarre. Like, dude, it's a company.
and at the end of the day, just to make it simplistic, you're just depriving yourself of watching a bunch of other good fighters that you could be paying attention to. I ain't saying you got to watch every single organization, but you know, there's other talent out there. And we'll get to it when we talk about the UFC card. Everybody's gonna jump on the Michelle Pereira bandwagon. He didn't start out in UFC. He's had crazy highlights way before he came over here.
This man was doing backflips off cages in the middle of fights.
Right.
In Road FC.
So, you know, just something to go meditate on that. Just go think about all the garbage you guys. I was not gonna say all you guys. Some people I've seen.
Go support regional MMA, you fucks.
There you go.
Go to a show. Buy an iPay-per-view. Freaking like their Facebook. Do something.
Support the cause. But that was One Championship, Enter the Dragon. Like I said, keep an eye on One Championship's YouTube page. Some of these fights have gotten uploaded pretty fast. So go watch any fight you see from this card because it's gonna be good. You know, as I'll continue to say, I don't know what One is doing with this TNT deal, but just in terms of just the product and the quality of the fights, they just seem to deliver. They've been on point lately, man. I've really been enjoying that card. So that was One Championship, Enter the Dragon. It was awesome. So go back and watch it. And before we get to the UFC, let's we ain't have to talk about this too long because it didn't last that long. But Deontay Wilder and Dominic Breazeale. To give you guys an idea of how quick this fight went, I was at a little mini get-together to watch this, and there was a gentleman who came through a little late. I think he was literally just coming just to watch the main event. The rest of us were there watching the undercard. From the time the fight started till the time the guy called to say he was outside, till the time the door opened, the fight was over. That's how quick this fight went. I'll let you have a crack at this first.
Dominic Breazeale has now fought for 2 world titles, and I don't know how, because he's not very good. He's not good. His best skill is being punched in the face. Yeah, I don't say. I'm not trying. Like, I'm trying to be like not mean about it, but it's true. Like his uh, his big win before he beat what's his face crap what did he beat Molina or am I confusing it with somebody else?
I honestly do not know. I wasn't really too familiar with him before.
Yeah, he beat
this
Eric
fight.
Molina. So his big win before he fought Anthony Joshua was Amir Mansour, and he only won because Mansour broke his jaw in a fight he was winning in like the 5th round, and he just couldn't fight anymore. Like, yeah, like Dominic Breazeale got paid millions of dollars to go out there and knocked out in 2 minutes and 17 seconds, and I'm
boy,
not.
did he
Yeah, like I'm not trying to pile on because Jim Gray did that last night where he was like, nobody wants to see you fight Dominic Breazeale, and then Breazeale refused to speak with him afterwards because he felt belittled, and I can't blame him. Like, you know, this man's out here chasing his dreams, and you're just shitting on him, but like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not.
Like, this is the state of heavyweight boxing. Like, the top 3 guys don't want to fight each other, and we're left with Deontay Wilder knocking out the Dominic Breazeales of the world. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, that's another one for the highlight reel because was that 40 now? He's 41-0.
No, with 40 knockouts.
Yeah. Wilder is the best. Wilder has the best right hand in the history of like boxing. Like, I'm sorry, like maybe other guys are more versatile with it. Maybe they got better timing. Maybe they fought better competition. But if Wilder puts that right hand on you, you're going to die.
And I don't know, you probably would know this better than I. Yeah, I'm gonna assume you've probably seen more Wilder fights than I have. I feel like even though not a lot of analyzers only lasted a minute plus, I thought he looked like a little cleaner. Like his technique looked a little.
I mean, that's the cleanest right hand I've ever seen land. But I think that's in part because Breazeale is just basically a bootleg version of him. Breazeale is not very good either.
Boy, Deontay, I mean, there ain't really a lot to describe in the fight. Like, a couple jabs from Wilder. He threw out really hard right that, like, stunned him, backed him up. He swarmed him. Breazeale's one moment was when he had this little flurry to, like, back Wilder up. And he, like, flailed, I think, a couple of overhands. And Wilder, like, backed up for a little bit. And they were like...
ESPN tweeted out a slow motion version of the knockout. And you can see just parts of Breazeale's body just shut down.
Yeah.
Like first his brain, then his arms, then his legs, then his torso.
Yeah. When that 1-2 landed, it sounded like a shotgun went off. Like, he got... And it was like, I don't even know why they counted. Like...
Yeah, no, that should have been like instantly get this man some help.
Yeah.
Get the mouthpiece out before he starts choking on it.
Yeah. They didn't need to count for that. Like, the way he just hit the ground, his whole face shifted over for one. And when he just collapsed, it was like, bro, we don't need to, there's no counting here. He's dead. Like, get him out of here.
You know what? I'll give Wilder this. He moved his head on that right hand because Breazeale was throwing something. It wasn't going to land even if he didn't move. But, I mean, that's never been one of his issues. But, like, you know, there are heavyweights who are very much more stand and bangy in terms of just I'm going to stay on a straight line, and Wilder got all types of torque on that.
All right. Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just make the fucking Joshua fight already. Make the Fury rematch. Let's find out who the best heavyweight out there right now is, so we can all just move on with our lives.
Doesn't Joshua fight soon?
Joshua fights on the 1st. He's going to be fighting Andy Ruiz, who was another name Jim Gray brought up during the interview and completely shat on for no reason.
Yeah.
Usyk is fighting soon. Who, if he can take a punch at heavyweight, like he's obviously not going to be able to take whatever the fuck Wilder just hit Breazeale with. But if he could, if he can hang in there, he's going to be an interesting one because he is the best pure boxer out of the four.
I gotta watch him more. I've been hearing his name, but I haven't seen many of his fights.
He won the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight tournament, basically beating out literally all the other best cruiserweights in the division. Olympic gold medalist. Like, I want to say calling him like a 200-pound version of Vasily Lomachenko, selling him and his like little peculiarities short, but like that the dude can dance for a man his size. Like nobody should be that size and be able to move like he does for 12 rounds. Yeah, like there's not a whole bunch to say about this other than like Wilder hits hard and we already knew that.
Yeah. I think
matter of fact, there is something to talk about. Can we talk about the fact that Wilder admitted he's trying to murder people in the ring?
He came close. Boy. Yeah.
See, the thing that's gonna stop him is there's nobody tough enough to eat the shot, and you're probably not gonna die from one punch unless your head just snaps when it hits the ground. Well, he's gotta hit him with some light ones first, beat him up, and then knock him out.
Give him a little pepper him a couple times.
Well, the other person just has to take a beating. Is what I'm getting at. Like, yeah.
I would. Not enough money you could pay me to take a hit like that. That's one of those things I don't ever want to know what that feels like.
I mean, it probably feels like nothing. Because your brain instantly just shuts down.
I just feel like when you wake up, your head is probably like...
You're probably lost.
Yeah. Like, you woke up, then that next second, you forgot your name, your birthday, your kids. Like... I don't ever want to know what it feels like to get hit that hard. But yeah, that was that fight. Deontay Wilder claimed Dominic Breazeale soul, first round KO, nasty right hand. And on the undercard, I mentioned Gary Russell Jr. Defeated Kiko Martinez via doctor stoppage. Some very fast hands. And Juan Heraldez had a draw with Argenis Mendez. I think I scored that fight for Heraldez. But anyway, it was a cool fight.
That wasn't the only ridiculously savage boxing knockout.
Oh, yeah. I'll let you handle this because I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, now Naoya Inoue knocking out Emmanuel Rodruguez. And if it hadn't been for Wilder flatlining Breazeale the way he did, this probably would have been the best knockout of the weekend. Just Rodriguez had never been knocked down before prior to this fight. It had a competitive first round that he lost against Inoue. And then the second round, Inoue just turned it up again. Like he was already at like 100 in the first round, but he just kicked into another gear. Knocked Rodriguez down with a two-piece upstairs on the to the head. He gets up, he's still dazed. Like, not even 3 seconds later, Inoue comes in and just blasts him with a hook to the body. And you can see the pain. There's a slow-mo out there of Rodriguez, like, his brain receiving, like, the pain from the shot. And you can just see, like, he doesn't want to fight anymore in that moment. And he goes down, and he looks to his corner and starts shaking his head like, please save me.
That's the worst.
And I don't know what they said, but he stood back up, and then Inoue immediately hops on him and puts him away with another body shot.
Oh man, that's the worst when like you gotta look to the corner, like bro, like,
He's like, I was not expecting that.
right? You guys didn't tell me he was this good. You see that towel right there? Oh man. But I think I saw the highlight of the KO, but I want to go back and just like watch the entire thing. I know it only lasted like 2 rounds, but
Yeah, no.
uh,
Inoue is like, if you're not watching him, not you, everybody else. Like, if you're not watching him, people at home, watch him. He might be the most exciting man in boxing right now.
oh man, yeah. I mean, when you got to look to the corner for help, you know it's not a good time.
Right. And you want to talk about fast hand? Like, I don't see his punches half the time. I can't imagine being in there with him.
Mm-mm. Jesus.
Yeah.
But
There's just one other fight real quick. The Josh Taylor Ivan Baranchik fight. Oh wait, real quick. Inoue will be facing off with Nonito Donaire in the finals of the the World Boxing Super Series Bantamweight tournament. Also Scotland. Josh Taylor took the IBF's junior welterweight title off of Ivan Baranchik in the main event of that same card. He'll be moving forward in the World Boxing Super Series junior welterweight tournament. He'll be fighting American Regis Price. I'm shit with names. Y'all know this already. Regis Price in the finals. I don't know when the finals will be. Hopefully not too far off. We kind of had to wait a long ass time for the semifinals to get into gear. So hopefully we don't have to do a repeat of that. But yeah, that's it.
alrighty. Well, that was like I said, there's a lot of good scraps that just went down this weekend. So go watch everything we mentioned. A lot of quality fisticuffs and souls being taken. So go back and watch all of the aforementioned fights. And now to the main event of the evening. What was this? UFC Rochester.
It feels weird calling the UFC card the main event of the evening when we just talked about like 2 of the top 10 boxers.
Yeah, if we're on, yeah. I mean, I say main event because it's the last thing we talk about, but yeah, it wasn't the main event.
It felt more like a post. Yeah, well, I can't say that because it was actually a good card.
Yeah, it was a good card. It was a good card, but it wasn't.
There was very little gravitas to it.
Right. It was fun while you watched it. It was entertaining. There were some quality fights, but it didn't have like a ton of like impact, I guess.
I mean, we might get another Chris Cyborg fight.
That is true. Could happen.
That's pretty impactful.
Insert new challenger. Now we have 4 people at featherweight, or 5. I don't know.
5. There are 5. Megan Anderson, Felicia Spencer, Dos Santos, Malaki, I think her name was, and the dude, the woman who they signed to fight Malaki. She's Brazilian. I think her name is Santana.
There we go.
And I don't know if Chris Cyborg is still signed, so I can't even count her.
If she leaves, they're just gonna scrap that whole division.
It's not even if she leaves. I don't think she's signed. I think her contract ran up after her last fight.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, there are 5 people there now. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, UFC Rochester went down also last night. On this whole card was on ESPN Plus. So if you have ESPN Plus, you can go back and watch the entire card on there. But anywho, fight was headlined by Rafael Dos Anjos and Kevin Lee. It's Kevin Lee's debut fight coming up to welterweight, fighting former lightweight champ. I'll just jump right into it. Man, I'll say for one thing for Dos Anjos, I always feel for him, especially as of lately, because it's like he always gets insanely tough matchups, and he's always in these very just punishing, grueling, just like can the man have one easy night where like everything just goes right,
Like, they tried to, wasn't he supposed to be fighting Damian Maia tonight?
I don't even remember. That wouldn't
Yeah, I feel like
surprise me.
I feel like that was a thing that was supposed to happen.
But,
It's just like, why?
yeah,
Why
but
are you doing this to him?
yeah, he always just gets in these crazy tough matchups, and it's like, man, you want to pull for him, but it's like, God, boy, I don't know, and it's like they always pit him against wrestlers who give him a hard time. They, grind him out, they just make him work hard, and he just gets in these really grueling fights. And straight out the gate, as soon as this fight started, I was like, oh boy, it's gonna be another one. Lee comes out, he's extra aggressive, he's throwing hands, he's actually landing pretty well. Um, he's pushing Dos Anjos up against the fence. I was like, oh boy, it's gonna be another one of them. And I mean, to be honest, this fight was a pretty high pace, good output from both. There was just a lot going on, not a lot of time for either fighter to really sit and chill. Like there was just always something happening.
I mean, Dos Anjos got plenty of chill along that fence, man.
I mean, he did, but I felt like he still.
I feel like Kevin Lee was basically doing all the work at that point.
Like,
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, is he like? I think it's this fight that just made me. Kevin Lee can only fight at one speed, and it's just not conducive to being a 5-round fighter.
Yeah, because he had his foot on the pedal pretty much straight out the gate, and he never really. Yeah, he never kind of just let off that pace at all. And I mean, it worked for a little bit. Like I said, he was landing really good. I was actually surprised how well he did on the feet. He caught Dos Anjos with a lot of good strikes. I don't think he ever like rocked him, but he was landing pretty solid. And then we all kind of knew. I think we all knew he was gonna eventually push him against the fence, go for takedowns, that kind of thing, because that's kind of been what people have just done to Dos Anjos lately. But I got to give Dos Anjos a lot of credit because of these two, Dos Anjos can kind of keep this pace going for 5 rounds. As for Kevin Lee, we've seen him before where he'll definitely slow down, round 3, and then obviously this 5 rounds, so 4 and 5, output will slow down, and Dos Anjos can kind of keep that going. And I guess the one good sign I had for Dos Anjos is he didn't end up on his back as much as I thought he would in this fight. He was able to stuff a good amount of takedowns. He actually was able to get off a couple of his own. And it was weird because the longer this fight went, I felt like Dos Anjos started to do to Lee what other people did to him. Like, he was the one kind of like, all right, y'all want to take me down and just make my life miserable, so I'm just going to do the same to y'all because y'all are trash, and I'm tired of this.
Right.
And he just kind of was able to, I guess you say, reverse the fortunes. He was landing really good. Both of them throwing a lot of body kicks. But no, he took Lee down a couple times, and it just felt like Dos Anjos could keep the pace, and Lee was kind of like slowly just kind of fading away. And the very last sequence of the fight where Lee goes for the takedown, and Dos Anjos, after just 3.5 grueling rounds, going into the 4th, in a fight that just, I'm pretty sure had him pretty tired, was able to just fend off his takedown. He was able to just keep his balance the entire time. Lee just kind of, I think he went to like rush in, ends up on the ground. Dos Anjos takes his back, kind of beats him up. Like, I feel like at that point Lee was just kind of like out of it. Right. And then when they rolled back over, like Dos Anjos got the arm triangle in pretty easy. Like I think Lee was just spent after that, and Dos Anjos got it in, and it was over. But this was a really good fight though. Like really back and forth, a lot of high output. Even though, like you said, there were moments where Lee kind of just had him pressed against the cage, but there was still enough going on to this fight for me where I was like really invested because I just wanted to see like, please Dos Anjos, don't drop another one of these grueling. I wanted to see him win so bad, and I was ecstatic when he got that choking because I knew he was going to land it because Lee was spent by the time that happened.
Yeah, like the thing about this was like Kevin Lee is the archetypal dude who's beaten Rafael Dos Anjos in the past, but he's also like the worst one of the bunch since like Dos Anjos fought like Gleason Tebow. Like however long ago that was. Like, you know, Khabib, Kamaru Usman, Kobe Covington, like for all those guys, for all their faults as like as I guess as being a little like for all of Lee's faults, he does have like a lot of the same skills as those guys, but like the one fault he doesn't have is that he can fight for 5 hard rounds.
Right.
Like Khabib Nurmagomedov can fight hard for 5 rounds, and he knows how to take breaks during those 5 rounds so that he can get those takedowns late. Usman and Kobe Covington, they're just tanks. They will fight for 25 hard minutes, especially if you give them the pace they like. Like Kevin Lee, like he hasn't demonstrated. Like Kevin Lee lost his interim title fight because he got tired in the 3rd round and got triangled from the bottom by Tony Ferguson. And you know he has staff and everything, but still, it mirrors stuff we've seen in other fights from him. And like, remember last week when we were talking about how like it wasn't just like muscle that got Andrade that takedown, that slam that put Rose out.
Right.
Kevin Lee should have probably watched that fight because Rafael dos Anjos was just like, I'm gonna go for the Kimura trap. I'm gonna go for the Kimura trap. I'm gonna go for the Kimura trap. And Kevin Lee just had no freaking clue what he was doing. Like, just let him repeatedly break the grip, fight off the takedown, or just let him get back to his feet. And it's like, if he stuck his head to the outside, he probably could have ran for the single leg. But he was content just having his barreling his head into Dos Anjos' sternum. It's just,
and Dos Anjos like muscled him a couple times with that Kimura grip. Like,
yeah,
like
he got full leverage on it. Like Lee was not doing a good job defending, and that's the thing. Like, not just is Lee not built to go 25 hard minutes, at least not at full pace. Like, the dude is not that much bigger than RDA, if at all. Like, Kobe Covington and Usman are huge.
Yeah.
Like, Covington, I think, is kind of on the shorter side, but he's built like a motherfucker. And Usman, I don't know how he makes welterweight. Like, those are 2 really big dudes, and they had trouble taking RDA down. So,
and then even when he did get RDA down, it's not like he was able to
do anything with it.
Yeah, it was more so I'm just gonna hold position, and yeah, he wasn't really able to get anything off.
Yeah, and RDA was just able to get back to his feet. And you know,
I'm watching round 3, and like he has RDA down, and RDA is just pushing off on his head, and all Lee is doing is just holding on to him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kevin Lee's like just that dude who needs the right type of matchup to be successful at the highest levels of like welterweight and lightweight. And RDA is just not that much. Like, and that's the thing. Like, RDA, we've seen him slowly get better at fighting this type of fight. He fought Usman better than he did Khabib, to an extent. He fought Covington better than he fought both of them. But in this fight, we didn't see any of the stuff where he needed, like, the new tricks he had built. Like we didn't see any of the combination punching. We didn't see any of the circling he had been working on to stay off the fence. Like, he went to the fence repeatedly. He still planted his feet. Lee just did not present the same challenges that Covington and Usman did.
I feel like he had like the pressure, but he didn't have the
technical acumen.
Yeah.
He didn't have Usman's technical acumen for takedowns, and he didn't have Covington's just raw freaking, like, Covington can fight for 25 minutes. He can fight hard for 25 minutes. It's not going to be pretty, but he is going to be in your face the entire length of the fight. And RDA clipped him hard multiple times in that fight. To the body, to the head, it just did not matter.
For a second, for a brief second, I thought that head kick was going to be another Barboza moment, the one that grazed him.
Right.
Because I think he felt it for like a quick second. Like he stumbled just for a brief moment, but he snapped back out of it.
Yeah.
But
we got clipped hard a couple times in this fight. Where it
Yeah.
just looked like he was, not that he was about to go out, but he was just like, oh shit.
yeah,
Like the room spinning.
right. And I feel like Lee was trying to follow the same game plan as like Usman and the rest of them did, but he wasn't able to execute it as well. And I feel like it was because like we said before, and in the moments where they had these grappling exchanges, even if he got the better of the exchange, it was only for but a moment. He wasn't really punishing him. He did better like standing than he did really like grappling. Because it's not like it wasn't landing no ground. He wasn't landing a lot of ground and pound. He might have briefly tried to like lock in the submission, but RDA would get out of it. Like it almost seems like most of his damage came from his striking, and his wrestling was just more so just trying to tire him out. But it didn't really.
Yeah, like if I remember, he was having success with those kicks.
Yeah, he landed a lot of body kicks. I was surprised at how well he did on the feet, but yeah, he just kind of couldn't
pull it together.
Yep.
I feel for the dude because like he's obviously too big to continually make 155 and without extremely hurting himself. But like his style of fighting is built to be the bigger dude, the bigger, stronger dude, and he's just not going to be that dude at welterweight. Like
And
there are 3 versions of him that are better at the top of the division.
Yeah, that was another question I wanted to see answered after this fight. Is like, well, what does Lee look like at welterweight? And to be honest, I feel like he's kind of the same guy. Like,
yeah,
not much has changed. And it's like if you're I ain't gonna say having trouble with getting RDA down, but if he's able to kind of fend you off the way he did.
And tire you out in the process.
Right, yeah. I don't imagine you having a lot of success against some of these. And I'm not even talking about, like, top guys. Like, there might be some middle of the road, like, guys who could still give you some issues.
Like, a guy like Pons, I think, would be a hard-ass fight for Lee.
Mm.
Or even, like, a Darren Till.
Yeah, boy. But... great for RDA, man. That was a hard fought. I don't want to make it seem like we were like down talking Lee because it was a great fight. It was a really good fight.
Yeah, no, it was a solid fight. And
Yeah.
like Lee had his moments. It's just like there was a lot of expectation on Lee.
Yeah. Once he started to fade, it was like, oh man, we've seen this before. Like we know how this ends. We know how the story goes. But great for RDA, man, because like we said, the man, he's just always in these ridiculously hard fights, and it was just good to see him come out on the other side with a win.
Please line him up with strikers. And
right.
Like, I do RDA Pons, RDA Luque, RDA Darren Till, RDA Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, there were a crop of like violent weight welterweights that we could just line him up against, and it would be a great time.
But no, he's gonna fight Ben Askren next.
Right. Yeah, they just punished this man. Like I don't know what he did to somebody, but
they're still mad at him for pulling out of the McGregor fight. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because remember when he lost to Eddie on that card that they put on ESPN, not ESPN Plus, on Fight Pass. They gave him Tony Ferguson as the follow-up in Mexico City.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they're just mad at him.
Well, congrats, man, Rafael dos Anjos. That was a great win. Awesome fight. Good finish. So that was the main event of UFC Rochester. The co-main event. All right, so let's explain this because I was confused. So the original co-main event of this fight was supposed to be Vicente Luque and Neil Magny, which probably would have been a pretty good time. But as we mentioned in the news notes, Magny tested positive for the whatever that little drug was.
SARM.
Yeah, he tested positive for that. So he was yanked from the card. So Vicente Luque's replacement was Derek Krantz, who I think I mentioned once on this podcast from LFA. But the fight was no longer a co-main event. They were demoted. Still on the main card, just pushed down a few slots. So I'm like, all right, that sucks, but okay, whatever, cool. So real quick, and I don't want to bash, but I'm just gonna read the rest of the fights on this main card and compare. So the co-main event somehow ended up being Ian Heinisch versus Antonio Carlos Jr. This happened over Vicente Luque versus Derek Krantz, Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lentz, and Felicia Spencer versus Megan Anderson. I won't say Davy Ramos versus Austin Hubbard because I don't think that'd be co-main event worthy.
Yeah, I'll give them this. Like, there are none of those fights where I'm like, yeah, that should be the co-main event. Maybe the Oliveira-Lentz fight just because they have name recognition from fighting in the UFC for so long, but like...
It's just out of... If you were to give me this card and say pick a co-main event...
Oh, no, I get what you mean. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ain't the one. That ain't the one, Chief. But, it is what it is. It happened. I was just kind of confused about how they decided that would be the co-main event. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I don't remember this fight in ton. I just remember there being a lot of grappling.
A lot of Granby rolls.
Yeah.
A lot of Antonio Carlos Jr. tiring himself out in the first round and then just, slowly falling from there.
Yeah, I'll give it to Heinisch. In the couple fights I've seen him, the dude is he's tough, man. He's one of those guys that, like, that's what I think of when I see him. He's not super exciting. I'm not going to say I'm, like, looking forward to a fight, but he can just go out there and have these little tough middleweight scraps, if you can call this that. There's a lot of in this.
That's his, like, defining characteristic. He's, like, he's not, like, Matt Brown scrappy. He's, like, athletic scrappy, where like he's able to, he's strong enough and quick enough to like muscle his way out of things, but he also has like a little bit of technique to back it up, but just not enough to like run away with things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in this fight, like the second and third round of this fight were not that different from the first, where Carlos Jr. was basically just, I'm gonna swing under your arms in the clinch and get your back, and then take you down from there. And he did a good job of that in the first and even in the second, but like Heinisch did a really good job of just making him work for everything. And by the time the second half of the second round started, was around, like Shoeface was too tired to do anything, and he was just eating like shoulder strikes from the top.
Yeah, so that was that fight. I honestly don't have much to add, so I'm not even gonna try. But
real quick, Antonio Carlos Jr. go back to light heavyweight. Like, you cutting all these extra weights is making you tired. If you don't get a submission in the first round, you're gonna lose, or you stand a better chance of losing against anybody with like a modicum of like wrestling or BJJ defense. Like, just go back to light heavyweight.
Yeah, go beat up on old guys. Build your confidence back up. But yeah, that was just a little middleweight grappling scrap, I guess.
Fair.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word. But Ian Heinisch won unanimous decision. Moving on down, Felicia Spencer versus Megan Anderson at women's featherweight.
What a way, the debut, right?
Yeah. I like both. I was kind of rooting for Megan, and what I feared would happen in this fight happened. That she would get swarmed. Felicia just would kind of just, smother her. so to speak. And somehow Megan wouldn't find a way out.
Dude, props to Felicia Spencer for that. I called it I called it a fake like guard jump, but like it was more like a sacrifice though, where she literally in the clinch along the fence pushes into Megan. Megan pushes back. She drops, gets between Anderson's legs, and then is able to get her back.
Yeah.
That was some slick stuff.
Yeah, she was just relentless, man. She put it on Megan. Not even like in a beat down kind of way, but just more so just
She knew she could not hang in her arena
right.
on the ground. Like Anderson's literally only effective at one range, right? Like that mid range where like she's big and imposing on her opponent.
But if you can close distance,
yeah,
all that is.
I think that's the thing that surprised me the most. Like Anderson, like they were showing the stats, and like Anderson's like 6 feet tall, and Felicia Spencer's like 5'6", and Anderson has like a 4-inch reach advantage, and like I'm expecting Anderson like okay when it comes to the clinch, she'll be big and strong, and she'll be able to fight off Spencer, even if she's not as good. Yeah, no, Spencer just pushed her into the fence.
Right.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the weight cut or if she's just not all that strong, but like
it was instant bully mode. Like
yeah.
And then once she got her back, got her on the ground, landed a couple ground and pound, and then once she flattened her, I was like, oh boy, here we go. It sinks in the choke and it's over. I should have known this fight would have ended this way, and not to discredit Holly Holm, but like Holly was taking Megan down. Like,
see, I've always said I think Holly Holm's a better offensive wrestler than people give her credit for, just because I think she has that Alexander Gustafsson thing going, where like if she can get you in a push-pull type of matchup, she can get you to commit on something, and she can duck under for that double leg, and she's like one of the handful of women who have that like athletic level change where they can do that. Like it's like her, Sarah McMahon, Ketlin Vieira, and like it's not the most technically deep wrestling game, but she can get in on shots.
all right.
But not like the fact that Anderson was not able to get up from those shots and just let Holly Holm basically have her way with her on the ground. Yeah, no, that was not a good sign for this fight.
Yeah. And for guys who don't know, Felicia Spencer she was featherweight champion in Victor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of her fights just are kind of, she can just do these kind of things.
I mean, her last fight was harder with Pam Sorensen. Grabaka Hickman tweeted out who Felicia Spencer should fight after beating Megan Anderson. I was like, she'll probably fight the winner of the only other featherweight fight that's booked right now. The only other woman, which is Malecki versus Santana. And Pam Sorensen tweets in reply, no, she deserves a better matchup. And then, at Chris Cyborg. I wanted to be like, damn, you really are mad that she beat you. And you just want to see her get her ass beat. But I held off.
The saltiness.
Yeah, because I like Pam Sorensen. And she gave Felicia Spencer her toughest fight to date. Like, she beat the crap out of her.
She called out for that rematch, man.
I may do it if it gets Pam Sorensen in the UFC. I'm not against it. You just fill this division with featherweights anywhere you can get them.
Yes, we need anybody. Like I know we joke about that for 205, but like featherweight literally just needs anybody. Like
bodies.
Yes, if you can throw a punch, you're there. Just go. They need you.
But big shouts to Felicia Spencer.
Yeah. It's a big win, an impressive win. The sad part was like after she won, I was like, man, yeah, she looked really good. She went in there, she imposed her game plan. It was pretty one-sided. And then the reality hit in. It's like, oh, she's a featherweight. When's the next time we're even going to see her fight again?
Right. Like, how long did it take freaking Megan Anderson to get 3 fights?
Right.
He's been in the UFC for how long now?
Yeah, so that's like, this kind of sucks. But
I actually have to know now. How long has Megan Anderson been in the UFC? Since the beginning of 2018. Okay, that's not that long.
well, we'll see. Hopefully they can.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2017. Never mind. It's been a minute.
Mm.
Her first fight was supposed to be against Cyborg at UFC 214 in July 2017.
Thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's been almost 2 years and she's had 3 fights.
Mm.
Which puts her at about the average, I think. Well, 17, 18. Yeah, like it puts her like right around the average. So
We'll see. But great win for Felicia Spencer. Hopefully we do get to see her again soon. Please sign more featherweights. Just sign more. Moving on down, welterweight fight that could have been the co-main event, but they were demoted. Vicente Luque versus Derek Krantz. Derek Krantz had a lot of hype coming from LFA, and then he also made a good impression on, I think that was looking for a fight where I think Dana was at one of the LFA events that he fought in. Boy, Krantz came out the gate. He was ready to go. He didn't waste any time. Came out throwing hard. Backed Luque up. Luque somehow ends up going for a guillotine. Doesn't get it. They end up on the ground. It's looking good for Krantz at first. Landing a ground and pound. Life is going great. But as we say always, things are going well until they're not anymore. Like that's kind of how it happens. Is many of the bad spots that Luque was in for maybe about the first minute or so of the fight. Stayed calm, didn't panic. He's been there before. He's fought a lot of tough guys. This wasn't anything new. They end up back on the feet. I don't know if Krantz was tired. I feel like maybe he blew the water a little bit. I just feel like he came out really just kind of hyper, and I can imagine debut, nerves, come out the gate like a cannonball. You're ready to go, and then doesn't get the finish right away. I can't remember much of what happened before. I just remember the beginning, and then I remember them standing back up. I remember Krantz getting caught with a pretty hard left that kind of stomped him back a little bit. And then he hit a knee before he got dropped, I want to say, right? I think Luque caught him with a knee that backed him up, and then he ate another right that dropped him.
It was left hand. Crap, what was it?
I feel like there was a knee somewhere in there.
No. It was the knee into that left hand.
Yeah, it was the knee into the left, and then he got dropped, ate a couple ground and pound, and just that quick. Like I said, things started off well, but Luque can crack, and he just needed that one little opportunity, and he got Krantz out of there. And we've mentioned Luque's name a couple times on this podcast. Another guy in that violent welterweight category he's been out here holding it down. He's been out here doing his thing. Put a young guy against him. We say this also. That's literally how it happens. All the new guys, especially coming from LFA, but really I feel like it's any new guy at this point, it's these short notice fights that they get. It's like, hey,
that's how you get in the UFC nowadays.
Yeah. Our co-headliner pop positive for SARM. Trying to take a spot? Sure, why not? There you go. We got 2 weeks. I don't know how long it was, but I imagine it wasn't that long. But Luque gets another finish.
Another newcomer.
Yeah. And not a terrible debut for Krantz. I like that he did come out aggressive, but Luque, guys who's experienced, he's been there, done that. So I don't think at any point he was really panicked or worried at what was going on. And once he got his chance to strike, it was pretty much a wrap.
Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to say except Luque's a really slow starter. I'd be happy to see him get the Robbie Lawler fight just because this was supposed to be a step-up fight. He didn't get it. He didn't take too much damage from that early flurry. I'd love to just see him fight Lawler as a reward.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, that Robbie Lawler sweepstakes, boy. Yeah. I saw so many Twitter ads and people a lot of people want that smoke. But we'll see. No, great win.
Little do they know, Robbie Lawler fucking ruins careers.
Right. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, shout out to Vicente Luque. At welterweight holding it down. So he won by TKO first round. Next fight, which was a rematch that I didn't really care to see, but it was a thing. So
Charles Oliveira has won 3 fights in a row against Nick Lentz. You'd think at some point they get the message.
Yeah, it was just weird that like at lightweight where there's just a plethora of fighters that this was the name they landed on. But it is what it is. Charles Oliveira fights Nick Lentz again, and he beats him. I'll say for Oliveira, man, what I was thinking the entire time I was watching this fight, like I remember watching him when he first came to the UFC, and he was just this crazy young twig of a kid. Like you could obviously see the talent, but he was just so young and green back then. And now he's really like starting to come into his own. His striking looks so much better. Like he was catching Lentz with elbows. He cut him open. He was doing good work in the clinch. He's doing all these jumping strikes. His combinations looking crisp. He looks a lot more like confident just in his striking in general now when he's standing and trading. Like it looks like he's really starting to like put it all together. And we already know the ground game. The man just submission after submission after submission. This was one of those fights that also was kind of like the foreshadowing of the KO was there. Because the KO sequence was Nick Lentz, I think he was throwing like a kick to like the body.
See, I wasn't even sure if it was like a side kick or like a round kick, like a switch kick, because it had such good impact.
Yeah, he tried some kind of kick, and Oliveira caught it for like a second, blasted him with a right, and ended up putting him out. But he had did that like 1 or 2 times before that even happened. He caught one of Lentz's other kicks and did like the same thing. It just didn't put him out. I don't know if he didn't like fully connect on the right, but he had done that before the KO even happened. And then, he put Lentz out with that right. I think he landed a little bit of ground and pound, and that was pretty much all she wrote. But no, I've been really impressed with Oliveira these last few fights. Like he's really starting to put it all together. I think he's like 29 now. I don't think he's quite 30. He's like 28, 29.
Yeah, he's still. He's in the middle of his physical prime. Right. He is 29 years old.
And like I said, to keep it in context, like this was a kid when he got to the UFC. He was like 20. He was really early 20. He was really young, man, when he first started. And you just look at his frame. He looked like a kid. Like he was this really skinny, just twig of a person. And yeah, I'm glad he's at lightweight. It is your home. Don't you go back to featherweight. Don't you pull that nonsense.
Thankfully, he didn't ask for a featherweight fight.
Yeah, I think he's hopefully realized. Hopefully. But nah, he looked really good, man. How'd you feel about it?
If you watch all 3 Nick Lentz fights in succession, you see the growth of Charles Oliveira. Where he goes from this like, well, he's still a twig. He's still kind of a twig. He's definitely filled out though. But you see this wild, crazy 20-year-old advance, and he's now like a really competent, well-rounded, all-around MMA fighter. Like, and we've seen this. Like this isn't like a new thing. It's been gradually building, but like he over his past like 6 or 7 fights, like we've seen his his Muay Thai game like really, really like fully come into its own, and it's now a dangerous part of his arsenal. And I don't really think Nick Lentz is the guy to be like, oh, okay, he's a top level striker now because he beat Nick Lentz. But I think it's really cool to just like you've seen this dude fight for like 9 years now, and you've seen him at his worst, you've seen him at his best, and you've seen him grown over the course of his UFC career. So it's just really cool to see where he started to where he's gotten. As for this fight in particular, I really didn't take much away from it other than Nick Lentz just really loves to force grappling exchanges against Charles Oliveira for no reason. Because he never wins any of them, ever. Like, an illegal knee in their first fight notwithstanding, Charles Oliveira is 3-0 against Nick Lentz.
Yeah.
And he's finished them all 3 times. And they've only gotten more and more one-sided. I don't get, like, I get that they just needed a fight to fill this card, and Charles Oliveira is just always guaranteed for a good showing, but like that could have been Gregor Gillespie. That could have been the co-main event.
Definitely could have been.
It's in New York.
I just thought of something when you mentioned like every time he fights Lentz, he gets better, and it reminds me in the game Sekiro that I've been playing, when you want to train a new move, there's this samurai you go to, or shinobi, I get it mixed up, but like you just practice moves on him because he's like immortal. So even when you kill him, he just comes back to life. So like that's what Nick Lentz is to Oliveira. Like, I got a new technique. Let me go fight Nick Lentz. Let me see if this works.
Yeah, I just realized Gregor Gillespie is from New York. Why the hell didn't they just have him fight him?
Yeah. I don't know. That's why when I saw this match, I was like, come on, guys. There are way too many good fighters at lightweight for us to be wasting Oliveira fighting Nick Lentz again. Like, nobody wants to see this.
He could have fought Davi Ramos.
Right, that would have been better. But Charles Oliveira, do Bronx. He got Nick Lentz out of there. TKO.
5 in a row.
Yep. So
I'm pretty sure all of them by some type of finish.
Yep.
That's the only way Oliveira wins fights.
So, shout out to Do Bronx, man. Really hitting a stride. So, we'll see if he can get a bigger fight. Somebody not named Nick Lentz. And, see how that goes. And speaking of Davi Ramos, he rounded out the main card against Austin Hubbard, who I wanted. Was this his debut?
Yes.
Can't remember. Yeah.
Yes.
Surprisingly, if you know Ramos' skill set, you would think this fight would have went to the ground. Not really.
I mean, it did.
It did, but yeah.
Just not for repeatedly, like the Antonio Carlos Jr. fight.
Yeah. A lot of this fight was a lightweight kickboxing match, pretty much.
Which Ramos won basically 90% of.
Yeah. Hubbard spent a lot of time, to me, moving backwards, never really imposing anything. Ramos just being more athletic, more explosive. I mean, they had some decent exchanges, but it just felt like Hubbard was always on the bad end of them, and when he wasn't, like, he never really pushed the effort.
Right.
So much.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to talk about this fight because like, you don't want to be too down on Hubbard, who is making his UFC debut against Davi Ramos, who is like a legit, like, I think Gary Tonin, like, that's who Davi Ramos reminds me of. Like, he's a dude who came over from jiu-jitsu who is a legit, just bona fide athlete who is really good at one part of the sport, and while he's not technically good at the other part of the sport, he's so athletic and so good at the thing he is good at and dangerous there that it kind of makes up for it. So, like, this wasn't like such a high hurdle for Hubbard, but like Ramos is better than his record by like a lot.
Yeah.
Just like, and you could see it when they actually did go to the ground, and how like it's scary how much control Ramos had over Hubbard's body. Where he's just like, okay, I got your back. I'm going to like put you in the air. I'm going to underhook you from the bottom so I can get my hooks in with my legs. Like it's just it's stuff that like you rarely ever see other people do in MMA.
Yeah, and I'll give Hubbard props for one thing. You know, at least he got taken to the ground a few times, but at least he lived to tell about it. You know.
Yeah, dude has a good chin, and he is very hard to sub because he got hit hella hard.
Yeah.
And he got out some, like even like there was a neck crank in the first round that Ramos got in, and it wasn't like, I think he had like one hook and he had the crank on, just trying to get the other hook in, and for the love of God, that squeeze, it was terrifyingly strong. Like crush a watermelon strong.
Yeah,
And,
so I won't be down on Hubbard's. Obviously, a lot of improvements to make, but it's like this fight could have been a finish at some point. But dude is just, he was tough. He can take a hit and somehow find his way out of these bad spots. How many has Ramos won in a row now?
I want to say that makes 4.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
mm.
His only loss in the UFC anyway was to Sergio Moraes in his UFC debut, where he was fighting up at welterweight. And his only other loss is to David Rickles.
Mm.
So
Lightweight, boy. Just, just.
Dude, if Ramos was a prospect in any other at middleweight, like he'd get as much like buzz as like Apollo Costa.
Right. But it's like, boy, at lightweight, you have to be the extraordinary of the extraordinary.
Right.
To like really stand out. But good performance nonetheless. Winning there, won a unanimous decision, and what was a fun fight, a decent fight, but pretty, we knew who won at the end. There was no question as to who was going to get their hand raised. So congrats to Davy Ramos. He won via unanimous decision. That rounds out the main card. So I don't know about you. The ESPN Plus prelims, there will be some fights I can offer insight on. There will be others where I cannot. Or my insight will be very surface level. Say that.
All right. Did you catch Lad Eubanks?
I did. Get a chance to watch Lad Eubanks. This was the one fight on the prelims that I looked at and I was like, all right, if I miss anything else, I gotta catch this one.
The one with actual stakes.
Right.
And great fight.
Yeah, awesome fight. Yeah, this was fun. And I figured it would be fun. Seeing Eubanks come up to bantamweight, so she's not trying to cut all this weight and missing weight. So glad that worked out. Don't think she had any problem making weight. And even at flyweight, we still saw like just how strong she was. So I figured this would be a pretty fun fight. But really impressed with that. I mean, impressed with both because I can't remember if it was like the second or third round. They were just slugging, man. They were just they were just going back and forth.
Yeah.
But,
some not just grappling, but like some terrific wrestling on display here, man. Eubanks going for that initial takedown, and then Lad fighting her way back up, and then getting the clinch takedown, pinning Eubanks along the fence, and then tripping her legs out from under her to get the takedown. Like that is some. That was some really good stuff.
Yeah, she's highly skilled. Like it's fun to watch her wrestle.
Yeah, like if she ties you up, it is going to be a miserable experience. and she gets on top. It is just a fucking nightmare. Like she would fake going for that Americana, and then just like as soon as Eubanks would go to guard, drop 3 elbows on her, and then float a mount. Like, how do you deal with that?
And then it's like the pace. Like she's not trying to like, oh, I'm gonna just take you down. I'm gonna just lay here and just chill out a little bit. Like she's gonna make it a very long and miserable time for you every second that you're down there. Like you can't really get comfortable. You can't just sit there and kind of camp out because it's not gonna end well for you. But nah, yeah, this fight was wild. Just from all the wrestling exchanges, even to the striking exchanges, which were fun. Like I said, I can't remember if it was the second or third, but there was a portion where they were just throwing hands, just kind of slugging back and forth.
That was third round, like where Ladd was too tired to Eubanks was too tired to shoot in, and Ladd just for whatever reason was not able to close distance. I guess this is the part we could be a little bit critical of Aspen Ladd, despite the win. She is not a very good striker.
She tried her little Floyd shoulder roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She lacks fluidity. That right hand is like there's nothing on that right hand when she throws it. She has a nice jab. Like when she hit Eubanks with that jab, it hurt. You could it shut down Eubanks' offense. But like Eubanks was the one who was really in there like throwing combos like those body head hooks. Problem is she also just doesn't have straight punches. Like she was just not able to keep Ladd off of her to really like differentiate herself in those exchanges.
Right.
So they looked more 50-50 than they were.
That's crazy. One of the judges gave her a 30-26?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'd give you a Ladd a 10-8 for that second round. I don't know about giving her the third round.
I have to go back and watch again. I did all of the prelims. I think I only really got to see like once, so my memory's a little hazy on some of these. But no, yeah, that was a fun fight, and just women's bantamweight needs these kind of fights because there's a lot of just lack of interest.
Yeah.
So
this fight made me happy that the home fight kind of fell apart for Ladd because she probably would have lost that.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts because I was like, even hypothetically speaking, let's say she was able to get home down maybe like the first round or so. If she'd have had a third round like that against home, she would have got picked apart.
Yeah.
Probably finished.
Even but beyond that, like I don't know how she gets home down because like Eubanks can shoot the double leg. I don't think I've ever seen Ladd shoot it. She doesn't seem comfortable changing levels. Like she has like light heavyweightitis where like she seems to have like that rod up her back. And like all her takedowns come from the clinch, and that's the one position Holly Holm is really good at avoiding when she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. She might have dodged one.
But dude, she's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean to be honest, at bantamweight, probably only dodging the smoke but so long. Well, I ain't saying dodging like she's like ducking her, but it's probably a fight that'll still end up happening just virtue of there not being a lot of
challengers.
Yeah, so
I like Joey suggested the Yana Kuniskaya fight, and I think that's a good middle ground between like Sajara Eubanks and Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Kuniskaya likes to fight at range, but she's also somebody who can be pressured into the fence and can be taken down. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. No need to rush her. She'll get there soon enough if she keeps up what she's doing, but no need to.
And keeps making weight.
Right. Definitely the most important thing. But no, that was a fun fight. That easily could have been on the main card.
It was until like 2 days ago for whatever reason.
Yeah, it probably should have been. That was a fun fight. Definitely.
It was the fight of the night. Which I'm happy they gave her, by the way, because like I said, with these performance of the night bonuses. You want to reward and like sustain your young talent.
Right.
They can't all survive on like 20 and 20 deals.
All right. People need to pay for training. More training, better gym, quality training partners, all that good stuff. So, but nah, props to both Ladd and Eubanks. It was a really fun fight to watch. Ladd won via unanimous decision. I don't know. Some of these, a couple other fights, I kind of just want to breeze through, unless you have anything pressing. Well, we'll talk about the Pereira fight for a little bit. But
The Pereira fight, you know, I have to call bragging rights on that Ed Herman.
I'll let you have that. We'll get there in a few. Next fight, hometown kid Desmond Green fought debuting Charles Jourdain. I remember thinking like halfway through this fight that I was like, man, Dez is winning right now, but it's not like he's winning so much that he can't like end up losing. And like somehow like you could get upset in your hometown. Because while Des Green's striking has gotten better, and this is still like I would say within his last 2 to 3 fights is probably the most comfortable I've seen him on his feet. I don't think he's like
he's still Des Green.
Yeah, still Des Green. He's gotten better, so I have to give him that. I'll always give props for like noticeable improvement, but he is still Des Green. Not the best striker in the world. Good wrestler though. You know, I think he still just has to find a way to kind of put it all together. But there were just lulling moments in this fight, where I was just kind of like, I don't know if Charles just needs one big moment and he could really just steal one of these rounds back. I don't know. I don't really have really a ton to say, but you know, Dez did enough on the feet and was able to use his wrestling at moments to get a few key takedowns, which I think kind of just won him the fight. You know, hometown kid, he got the win. I don't really have much else to really say about that fight in depth.
Nah, that's like that more aggressive Des Green early on, but he kind of went back to Des Green mode towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, that was it.
I'm happy for him. Like I said, I'm happy Des Green's in the UFC. He's doing well. I really don't have an opinion on this one.
It was what it was. But congrats to Des Green nonetheless. Got a unanimous decision. Moving on to a fight that a lot of people definitely are talking about and probably will continue to talk about. The debuting Michelle Pereira versus Danny Roberts. Why does that have to happen to Danny?
They needed a guaranteed action fight for the raucous Rochester, New York crowd, and they got it.
It could have been somebody else. I had to see Danny go through this. But
fucking Michelle Pereira. Like, so like I thought he kind of played up what he did in Road FC. You know what I mean? Like he got an opponent who he could just like do cool stuff against. I was like, I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to go viral. No, he just fights like that.
Yeah, no, that's not for camera.
No, he is legit just a psychopath.
Yeah, the man he just has these little moments where it's like, what are you doing? But this is really fun to watch, so I'm not gonna question you.
So, this fight lasted what, like
a minute? Minute 47.
Okay, this fight lasted a minute 47. In the span of that, he threw what somebody I called it a Rolling Thunder on Tumblr, but somebody corrected me. They called it an Ebersol kick, which is where he literally just does a front flip and kicks. Not like a car. He just does a front flip and just kicks. He jumped off the cage twice. One in this completely amazing sequence where Roberts was escaping and he just jumps to the cage to cut him off. He throws a Superman punch.
Oh, I got to talk about the Superman punch because he hit this crazy little b-boy foot motion. Like, I almost wish that would have been the punch to like end the fight, because he did this crazy 70s just b-boy foot move, and then he just launches into the Superman punch. It was like the wildest thing ever.
I feel like we should mention this all happened after he cried for a solid 2 minutes after walking out to the cage.
Yeah, but he was a ball of emotion, and then he just let it all out.
Yeah.
He is a character. Also to mention, he is a big welterweight.
Yeah, no, he is a middleweight.
Yeah, that dude, he is huge.
He might, like, I kind of want to suggest that he goes up to middleweight just because I think his quickness and his power will carry. And against some of these more technical, a little faster 170 pounders, he's probably gonna hit a dead end real soon. Like I don't see Tim Means falling for any of this.
But at like middleweight, he might be able to.
But at middleweight, he might starch Ian Heinisch.
Right, he can get away with some of that. Those middleweights have never seen anybody jump off a cage. Nobody middleweight is jumping anywhere. Like, but not yet.
Flying knee into just like cross combination that ended the fight. Johnny Walker-esque.
Yeah. He was the first person I thought of when I saw that. And I think somebody put it on Twitter. It was like his next fight, him and Johnny Walker need to be on the same card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah, he's one of those fighters. And I'm I'm not going to jump out here and say, oh, next champ, all that stuff. But I'm just saying, you want entertainment, you want fun.
You want somebody doing unique things.
Yes.
Like, because as much as this is a competitive sport, it's mixed martial arts.
Right.
You want dudes who can do the aesthetic stuff.
Yeah, he's emphasizing the arts. This is expression.
This is capoeira.
Yeah, man. Like you said, that flying knee to the right, and God bless his soul, he didn't even follow up. Showed mercy, knocked him down, and just kind of went about his celebration.
All while rocking the man bun.
Right. Yeah, Michel Pereira, ladies and gentlemen. Insert new challenger at welterweight for now, but like I said, I think he might eventually go up because he is huge. But I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have trouble making the weight. I don't know. We'll see. But another guy to keep an eye on at welterweight because he is going to be fun to watch. This will not be the last time he jumps off a cage. We're going to see a lot of antics from him in the future, and it is. God bless the man. This is going to be fun to watch. I can't wait.
I'm all for the clownery.
Definitely. All for it. Especially when it leads to wins. So, Michel Pereira won via KO against poor Danny Roberts, who just... You see a man jumping off the cage. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
How do you train for that?
Right. Yeah, that's a tough outing. But, yeah, Michel Pereira, man, that was an awesome performance. And to be honest, this is the part of the card where, your
memory fades.
Yeah, I can tell y'all who won. The only other fight I kind of remember really is the Julio Arce Julian Erosa fight. Because I love head kick KOs.
Yeah.
So
that was great.
Yeah, that was great. That one stuck with me.
Great tone setter for the night too, because this is a really good card. Like,
yeah,
fight. Just for action wise.
Lots of finishes.
Lots of people like just going out and showing out, like Aspen Ladd and Sijara Eubanks. Like, you want me to go to the next three since you don't seem to remember?
Yeah, I'll let you handle these.
All right, so we got Grant Dawson, who took on tough winner Michael Trezano, who's a Team Tiger Showman's dude, if I remember right. Dawson survived getting pieced up by Trezano on the feet, was able to get him down, and pretty quickly actually got the rear naked choke in the second round. Koaka Carnage on Tumblr asked if Mike Trezano's the worst tough winner, top five worst tough winner of all time. Currently, he's in the bottom. If we're just doing like the American seasons, he's in the bottom 5. Like, like no shots, but like they drained that welterweight, that lightweight, featherweight well dry. Next up, my man Ed Herman knocks out Patrick Cummins in the first round. I told y'all this was the fight to watch. Y'all didn't believe me. Ed Herman basically hurt himself on that knee. The phantom knee.
He looks so slow.
It's not about speed, it's about precision. And he landed precisely on top of freaking Patrick Cummins' temple. So precise, in fact, it didn't even look like it landed.
Oh, man.
Hits him with the knee, follow-up punches, puts Patrick Cummins out. Ed Herman might have a number next to his name come Monday. Think about it.
I don't know if we should be proud.
They call him Short Fuse for a reason, bro.
Oh, boy.
Next up, Zach Cummins takes on Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles had been away for like 500 days because he was going to become a cop. He was winning this fight handedly, pretty much up until he lost it. Cummins hits him with an overhand left as Giles plants his feet to throw a right hand, lowering his guard. Eats it. Starts to panic wrestle. Cummins puts him in the guillotine. Giles just has no way to escape. Oh, he does. Giles just does not. He just doesn't escape. Taps. Cummins gets the last second come from behind win. That was kind of upset, but then I realized Giles was a cop, and I'm like, all right, I'm alright with this.
All I remember thinking during this fight was, Giles looks like he's having too good of a time. He's gonna end up losing somehow.
Yeah.
He was in there smiling, and
He did a good. If you're away for 500 days, the last thing you want to do is get into an all-out brawl with freaking Zach Cummins. You know what I mean? So he did a good job just staying on the outside, not letting Cummins land anything clean. Cummins did a good job with the body kicks. He actually hit like a jump switch body kick in like the second round or something. But when it came time to force an exchange, he got Giles the bite, and that's the important part.
Yeah.
So props to Cummins. And then Julio Arce, third round head kick KO over Julian Erosa. I don't like that Arce lets himself be backed up into the cage. Like, he was doing a good job of slipping and bobbing Erosa's punches, but when Erosa switched up to the straight shots, he started landing more. He actually cut open Arce's eye, like, on the right side, I want to say. But when you are sloppy and you are overconfident, you're just there to be hit.
Yeah, I was gonna say for Erosa, I was mad that like you have all this size and you just keep throwing these looping for all the range he had, I was like, I just felt like you could have fought like a smarter fight.
Like, dude, you're a 6'1" featherweight.
Right.
You don't need to be fighting in the pocket.
Yeah, because I was like, you're gonna get caught eventually. You're asking to get caught.
Yeah. So Erosa throws the leg kick Both his hands are down. Arce follows it up with a head kick from the opposite leg, knocks him the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the card.
Yeah, that's rep. Yeah. I love head kick KO so much. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, great action card, man.
Yeah, but yeah, that was UFC Rochester, and I mean,
the best part is, started at 5 o'clock, ended at 11 something. It was nonstop.
Right, and it flowed right into the Wilder fight. So if you wanted to see that, right after Dos Anjos Lee was over, you just transitioned right on over.
Yep.
And I mean, you say it went from 5 to 11, but just to keep in mind, like, if you guys rewatch the fight, like, I'm just gonna read this real quick. Finish, decision, finish, decision, finish. A lot of people got out of there.
Yeah.
A lot of people got out of there. And
it might have been over before 11 now I think about it. I have to go back and check.
Yeah, but it was I was happy because looking on paper, I was like, man, I hope a lot of these fights, I hope this isn't one of those long, drawn out cards, and like so many people got finished. So yeah, if you wanted action, this card might not have meant much in terms of like huge names, but if you just wanted to watch a good quality card with just good fights and finishes, this gave you pretty much everything. And then we got a nice main event. It's always nice when the main event delivers. So yeah, this was a good way to cap off the weekend and what was a really good weekend of fights, man. Just between one championship, Wilder taking Breazeale, so this card, the Inoue fight, and then we didn't even mention, like you said, KSW had a card, Road FC. A lot of other promotions had cards going on. There were just a lot of good fights happening this weekend. So
Yep. Lots of good stuff.
yeah, if you got the Zone, that is on Road FC. Road FC is on the Zone, right?
Road and KSW.
Yeah. So yeah, if you got the Zone or Fight Pass, or ESPN Plus, man, go back. The Glory card also I mentioned Glory 65. There were a lot of good fights this weekend, man. There were a lot of good quality fisticuffs to be had this weekend. So go back, man. Watch all of the fights we mentioned. There was a lot going down, a lot worth revisiting. So shout outs to just all the fighters, man. It was really fun weekend of fights. But that is pretty much it for today's episode. And as I mentioned earlier, next week, not really a ton going on other than we got PFL going down on Thursday.
Sorry. Go ahead, finish. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, no, was it another fight?
Yes. So, if you're down for some women's boxing, we got Chicago's Jessica McCaskill defending her, let me get this right, WBC title and going for the WBA super lightweight title when she takes on Anahi Esther Sanchez. And that fight's going to be broadcast on DAZN. So if you got DAZN, yeah, there you go. It's going to be on the Michael Hunter Fabio Maldonado card. Ooh.
Speaking of boxing, I heard not to go on another side tangent. Ross Pearson won like his second boxing fight or something.
Yes, he went. I think it was his pro debut.
Yeah, he knocked somebody out.
Yeah. Like somebody said, imagine if Ross Pearson was actually just a world championship level boxer, and we just didn't know because he was stuck doing this MMA shit.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, apparently that's the thing. But
also, last one. Sorry. Jackie Nava and Marcela Acuna are going to be fighting next week in Mexico. They're two of the greatest female boxers of all time. They're both they're both past it. Nava is 39 and Acuna is 42, but they're still two of the best to ever do it. So if you're down for seeing those two fight, you could probably catch it on YouTube the week after.
There you go. And then just real quick mention of the PFL card that goes down on Thursday. You got Lance Palmer versus Alex Gilpin. Chris Wade is on the card. Andre Harrison returns. We got Ramsey Ninjam on the card. Rashid Magomedov. Natan Schultz is on the card. Damon Jackson. He's on the card. Like you said, Jeremy Kennedy. Also Steven Sauer. So it looks like there's a couple solid fights. And as you said, it's lightweights and welterweights. So should be a pretty fun night. PFL, they've been delivering lately. So definitely worth checking out. And that's on ESPN Plus. So go give that a look. But like I said, next week's podcast probably won't be so much on covering cards. We might give those like a brief mention. But if possible, if I can get enough participation, I would like to do a mailbag episode. So by the time you guys hear this, I will probably be tagging people and requesting that people send in questions. I will be off this weekend because it's my birthday weekend, so I'll be off on Saturday. So we can record maybe sometime this weekend. It doesn't matter. But, send in questions for the mailbag. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, wherever you're hearing this, on Facebook. If you see me or Anti-Cool anywhere in the interwebs and you want to ask a question on the show, hit one of us up, send the question in. And try to answer it on a mailbag episode that we will do for that weekend. But that's pretty much it for today's episode. So as always, we will close with parting shots and shout-outs. I don't really have any MMA related shout outs, but I will give a shout out just to some trailers of things that I've seen lately. For anybody who is a fan of Samurai Jack, which had their last season a year or two ago, really amazing show, and that last season was phenomenal. Love how they ended it. It was so good. But the creator of the show, Gennady Tartakovsky, probably missing it.
Gennady Tartakovsky.
There we go. That guy. he has a new show coming out called Primal. It looks kind of wild. I guess it's hard to say because the trailer's only, it's not that but so long. I guess it's like Samurai Jack with animals. It's a lot of blood, a lot of gore. But it looks fun, man. It looks fun. Go give that trailer a look. On the gaming tip, for anybody, if you're a fan of the OG PlayStation, if you remember the game Abe's Odyssey, which I also did a playthrough of on my YouTube channel, they're coming out with another game called Abe's. What is it? I gotta get this right. I think it's called Soulstorm. Abe's Soulstorm. I don't think it has a release date, but they put out 2 trailers, but the first trailer didn't have any gameplay. This one has a little glimpse of gameplay. It looks really good. Now the enemies can shoot at you from the top, which they couldn't do before. Like when they're on the above platforms, they will shoot at you. But also some of the homies that you got that you're rescuing, they throw Molotovs, or at least one of them did. So it looks fun though. I love the Abe series. It was one of my favorite games that I played growing up. So I'm glad to see the franchise is still going. So that is Abe Soulstorm. Give that a look on YouTube. And if anybody's a Rick and Morty fan like I am, Rick and Morty will be back in November. Looking forward to that also. So that's all I got for shout outs. I don't have any shots. Nobody made me, well, all right, there were people who made me mad, but I don't really want to talk about it. So I'll end this. Going into my weekend, I'm going to try to be positive, try to be positive. So those are my shout outs.
Right. Shout out to Scott Askham, who took the middleweight title off of Machado Materla with a flying knee over at KSW 49. Shouts to Roberto Soljic of Croatia, who took the welterweight title. I'm not sure. I think he defended his welterweight title. I think that's what it was. With a nice little KO, first round KO over what was his name? Yeah, Christian Kazubowski, something like that. Just fantastic knockout. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, and then shouts to Mansour Barnoui. Yeah, I don't speak French. He took he finally won the Road FC lightweight tournament, beating lightweight champion A Sol Kwan for the belt and the $1 million prize. So Bellator and PFL aren't the only other promotions out there handing out $1 million for winning a tournament.
Where you at, UFC?
Exactly. Props to Mansour. That's some life-changing money.
Yeah.
And shouts out to you, Sensei. I hope you have a great birthday.
Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, I'll be turning 30 on the 27th. So the next time you hear me, I'll be a year older. I'll be on this podcast reflecting about my life, which could be a good or a bad thing. But nah, we'll see. I'm happy, man. I will say real quick, I took off work for a couple days that week. So if anybody follows me on Twitch, I do plan on doing some streaming. So there'll probably be some Sekiro, some Mortal Kombat 11 going on that week. So I took off for a couple days. So yeah, it'll be fun, man. Next week will be fun. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up because I want to go see John Wick 3. And I have some discount tickets, and I'm going to go use them. Because I really, really want to see this movie. And I need to eat. But anywho, man, as always, man, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. Always share with a friend, share with a fight fan. Post it everywhere you can. Text it to people. Buy my book, The Oddball Chronicles. Also, support a starving author. Still out here. But that's all we got for today's episode. So as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.